Here we are. Here we are. Yeah, here we are. Do I have everything on? Everything's on and rolling. Let's refresh this bad boy up. What's up, everybody? Here we are. Dude, we have a doozy today. I'm telling you, bro. We got a fucking banger of a video today. I'm live on Twitch, live on Kick, live on YouTube, and live on Facebook. Hopefully we get everybody just trolling all up in here. We have a fucking... Today we're in for a doozy, bro. We're in for a doozy. 2-hour documentary talking about the occult symbolism inside of the Bible, bro. It's going to be crazy. I hope to see you stick around. Let's just let everybody start trickling in on up in here. Just trickling in on up in here. Trickling in. And trickle on in. Everybody just start trickling in. Start trickling in. Start tickling in. Start trickling in. What's up, Release and Transform? Hey guys, just giving everybody a heads up right now. If you do come on up in here, we're trying to move everything over to Kick. I know, Release and Transform, it's another platform. I'm sorry about saying for another platform, but guess what? Gary Noel, what's up? What's up, dude? But yeah, over on Kick, bro, from what I understand, from what all the homies be saying, Kick treats their content creators the best. And if that's what, that's what we're here for is, I want the boss, the place that pays me to do the work that I do. And I'm not necessarily, saying not a lot of hostility stuff about the work that I do. I'm just on here talking on the internet. But I stream every single day, Monday through Friday, for at least 2 to 3 hours every day. And so the platform that I have come to realize takes care of their creators is Kick, bro. Currently on Twitch. I haven't hit monetization yet on YouTube yet. I need to hit 3,000 hours of watch time. Guess what though? I'm about to hit monetization up over here on Kick. It's quite easy actually. From what I've gathered, I could just pull this up. It's telling me that actually all I need to be able to even hit subscribers, bro, is 5 hours of stream time. I already got that, bro. And then I can get subscribers. Pretty sick. But who's all up in here? We have peeps up in here. Alrighty, let's just get it. Do I? What? Okay, just making sure my VPN's connected where it's supposed to go. We'll just be going. What's up, dude? What's up, everybody? Who's up in here, bro? Who's up in here? Just say hello. Just say, hey, how are ya? All right, dude. We got a banger today, bro. I'm telling you. Let me just fix this situation a little bit. I just love coffee, bro. People love coffee, huh? And people love coffee, huh? I need to get my own little coffee brand going, bro. New platform, let's go. Release and Transform. Thank you for coming over to Kick, bro. I appreciate that, bro. For Rizzle. I appreciate that more than you could ever even know, bro. Because I'm close, bro. Kick's cruising, bro. We're cruising over on Kick. I dropped it. Unpin that. Go ahead and pin that. Go ahead and take that and just go ahead and delete that. Are you guys ready for today? I'm just trying to get everybody up in here. I don't know where everybody's at. What's everybody doing? We got Release and Transform up over here on Kick. We got Gary Noel so far up over here on YouTube. I don't know about what's going down, but the boop. Brit, you made it, Brit. Let's go. You guys. Mind Unveiled dropped a new banger. Me and Queen Trip. We watched it last night, and I'm going to have to watch it again with you guys live on the stream because, one, I just need to watch it a second time to understand the shit. but it's the Bible unveiled. Yeah. Could you just even for 1 second have just an open mind and maybe believe and just affirm? You could just drop an alien in the chat. Does the Bible have like occult symbolism or hidden knowledge inside of it? Outside of what the Bible is for, right? The Bible is to preach or be scripture for the religion Christianity. Is there esoteric knowledge that's been hidden inside of coded words and symbolism inside of it to tell only the initiated, only the people who have eyes to see a different message? We're going to get into that today. Hey, Koi-fish, what's up, YouTube? I appreciate you. Like I said, I need 3 hours, or I need 3,000 hours of watch time on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, stay on YouTube if you choose. I am just trying to grow a little platform over here on Kick. I dropped the link in all of the chats. All I need, bro, is like literally 12 minutes or so of live streaming to be able to get subscribers on Kick, bro. And then outside of that, the other goals, I need to reach an average of 50 viewers in 30 days. My average is about 7 viewers so far. I need to stream for a total of 15 hours. Easy peasy. I need to have 100 unique chatters in the last 30 days. So that means I need to get at least 100 separate individual people to at least comment on the Kick stream. Let's see how much more we can get in there today. Where's everybody? Who's up in here? We got 2 on Facebook. What's up? What's up? Where's Twitch? What's up with Twitch? How many we got on Twitch? Let me just check the thing. Only 1 viewer on Twitch. Okay. Okay, what's up, everybody? Where's everybody at? We got to get into this. If we're gonna be able to knock out this whole 2-hour documentary with all my jibber jabbing in between all the jibber jab, we're gonna have to jibber jab our way down to Jibber Jab Alley. You know what I mean? You guys know what 'tis that I am saying? I don't even know how many people we even have on Kick. How many people's even up on in here right now? Dang, we got 9 peeps up in here right now. 5 peeps up in here right now. If you're up in here on Kick right now, can you just say right now, right now? Yeah, I'm a weird ass guy. But does the Bible have occult symbolism? We're going to get into that. So, what's up, Queen Trips in the house? Let's go, dude. Let's go. What's up, babe? I love you, babe. You're in the Matrix right now. Be safe out there. Be safe out there. Shout out Vince Carter. And y'all know about Vince Carter, bro. The Vinsanity, one of the nastiest dunkers in the NBA history, bro. Queen Trips at work. Back in action. Let's go. All right, guys. Karen, what's up? What's up, Karen? Thanks for joining the live stream today. We're going deep. We're going to get up into, I'm going to tell you right now, just watch the screen. I'm going to ask Queen Trip, can you please just use 5 emotes to describe this documentary we're about to watch in the chat so people can see on the screen. Like I said, for everyone who is on Facebook, I'm trying to grow my following on Kick. Kick is a lot better than watching this long 3-hour live stream, watching it vertically. You know what I'm saying? Watching it vertically. If you hit the pinned link to my Kick, you'll be able to watch it this way to where the screen, I don't know. It's just my personal opinion. I think watching it horizontal is a lot better than vertically. You could go to YouTube or Twitch as well. I'm just trying to grow. Oh, yeah. So now that Queen Trip's in here, babe. So in order to get subscribers on Kick, I literally am at 4.78 out of 5 hours needed streaming. So it says that potentially by the end of the Kick stream, the little subscribe button might be available. And then I need to reach an average of 50 viewers in 30 days, which currently I'm at 7.5 viewers. I need to have 100 unique chatters in the Kick chat, meaning within 30 days, I need 100 separate individuals to comment something in the comments. So that's the goals. If you guys are here for it, thank you. What's up from the Netherlands? Whoa, we've been live for 10 minutes, player. We're already international, bro. Oh yeah. You know why I clap a lot? I clap because that sends sound waves and frequencies to the entire universe around me to let everything that's around me, whether it's ethereal or it's energetic or physical, to let them know that a being is here, like an actual eternal being, not just some person wearing a human costume. There's actually an eternal being present. It makes it so all the energies around me are present, that I'm aware that I'm here. Just kind of, some little weird fucking thing I do. Oh yeah, Queen Trip will be joining the stream a bunch next week because she doesn't have to work. She doesn't have to work. Okay, you guys ready for today's mindful message, bro? That's really all we got. Mindful message straight into the Bible unveiled. Thank you for heading to Kick. Let's go. I appreciate you, Scruffmeister, for always showing up. I appreciate all you guys for always showing up. If you don't know, bro, I stream every single day, Monday through Friday, for 2 to 3 hours a day on all platforms: Kick, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. If I could get it inside of here to be able to have it the same setup for Instagram, I would, but for some reason it won't let me, or I would be streaming literally everywhere. I am trying to direct all traffic to Kick. That's why in every single streaming platform, you might acknowledge that the Kick link is pinned to the top, because I'm trying to get everybody to go over there. All right, guys. Anyways, let's get into today's mindful message. Let me just scoot out of camera view for a second. Back in black. All right, ready? Canada's in the house too. What's up? All right. You guys ready for this? Bruh. You've been reading symbols your entire life. You just weren't told that's what you were doing. Before you could read words, bro, you knew what a red light meant. You knew what a wedding ring meant. You knew what a skull and crossbones meant. Your mind has been trained from day one to respond to images, shapes, colors, and patterns as if they carry some sort of invisible instructions. Like, think about it. A stop sign doesn't just say stop. It tells your whole body to slam the brakes. A logo doesn't just show a picture. It tells you like who to trust and who to buy from, who feels safe. A flag doesn't just show colors. It asks for loyalty, identity, and sometimes even your life. You didn't sit in a classroom and memorize those things. You absorbed them. You learned the code without anyone ever even using the word code. Now look around, bro. Police badges, hospital signs, government seals, stars, eagles, shields, serpents, wings. These aren't random design choices. They're built on old symbols that once represented gods, empires, protection, authority, and power. Religious art actually does the same thing. Stained glass, icons, paintings, lambs, lions, doves, halos, fire, mountains. You don't need a theology degree. You don't need a theology degree to feel something when you see it. Your mind recognizes the symbol even if nobody even ever sat you down and explained how deep the layers go. So here's the first question for you. Please, if you feel compelled, answer it in the chat. If symbols are everywhere, shaping how you feel and what you do, how much of that was ever even explained to you? And how much of it did you just accept? Now, today, when we talk about the possibility of occult symbolism or hidden knowledge inside of something as familiar as the Christian Bible, we're not saying, look how strange this one book is. What I'm trying to say is, look how normal it is that across history for every power structure and spiritual tradition to speak in code. And look how often that we've been taught to never ask what the code even means. Every civilization had a public story, which is the one that everybody gets to hear. And every civilization had a deeper layer, the information that was only taught to someone who was taught to see it. Some call it initiation. In some cases, that deeper layer of knowledge is mystical. It's about like inner transformation, spiritual states, and hidden wisdom. In some cases, it's even political, about who really holds power or who gets erased from the narrative. And in some, it's esoteric or occult, like using symbols, numbers, and patterns to encode ideas that aren't meant to be obvious to everyone. So the natural question starts to become, if hidden meanings of symbolism show up in art, government, money, medicine, branding, mythology, then why would we assume that they didn't show up in our most important spiritual texts? So today, as we watch this documentary, I call it, this video from Mind Unveiled called The Bible Unveiled, today's live stream isn't about attacking anyone's spiritual beliefs or their faith. It's not me telling you that you've been wrong your whole life or throw away everything that you ever believed. It's more about doing something that most of us have never even been given permission to do. And that's simply just to look at information, acknowledge the patterns and theories with an open mind, and ask ourselves, what if some of what I was handed is surface level? And is there more underneath? What if some of the stories I love also have layers of symbolic, mystical, or even political narratives that nobody has ever even bothered to mention to me? What if God, Source, Yeshua, the universe, or whatever name you use for the divine is not threatened by me learning more? You don't have to agree with everything we're about to watch. You don't have to change your relationship with the divine today. But for the length of this stream, I'm inviting you to try something different. Just let the ideas that might conflict with your current beliefs pass through your mind without needing to instantly defend, fight, or run away. Just hear the information as data, as history, perspective, symbolism, and give yourself some time after to decide what actually resonates with you. Ask yourself as we go, why was I taught some things in detail and why was I not taught some of these things at all? Who benefits from me not knowing the deeper levels to this? Does entertaining or learning more about symbolism weaken my faith with the divine, or could it actually make it stronger and make me more conscious? Because curiosity has never been betrayal to God. Questioning is not the same as abandoning. You can love what you believe and still be willing to look at how deep the layers go. So for the tone for today is very simple. It's not believe this or agree with me about that. It's simply just be curious enough to look with me. Be calm enough to listen to the information being provided. Be honest enough to notice what resonates and what doesn't. Because we're going down, oh boy, a really deep rabbit hole about cult symbolism and hidden knowledge surrounding the Bible. But the story is real, and it's way bigger than anything we've ever even imagined. It's about you learning to recognize where symbols and systems have been shaping your reality without you ever being invited to see the full picture. From there, you will get to decide what you keep, what you take with you, what you leave, what you question, what new questions you want to carry on with you in this spiritual journey. So with that, let's get right into it. You guys ready to get into this, boy? This shit's gonna get crazy, boy.
So ahead, Chief.
This shit's gonna get crazy, boy. Students, do. Let's do this, do. Shit, my dude. Oh, man. This is going to be insane. Okay, so let me just preface this. For any person who hasn't been on a stream with me and watched the channel Mind Unveiled, this video, fuck, someone from New Zealand. What's up, New Zealand, dude? What's up, dude? You guys, if you guys notice for Facebook, I'm telling you now, I'm not trying to get you to leave Facebook, but the pinned comment is a link to my Kick. You're going to have a lot more enjoyable time watching from Kick or at one of the other streaming platforms. This isn't going to be one that's specifically designed for the vertical mode on Facebook. On Kick, you can turn it sideways, and this will be a lot better for you. That's all I'm trying to say. So come on over to Kick. It's pinned in all the on all platforms, all the chats and all the plats: YouTube, Kick, Twitch, Facebook. Come on over. But let me just say, if you guys haven't watched a Mind Unveiled video with me, bro, I'm telling you right now, Monica, this is one of those ones. He actually references how deep this series is going to go, that it's going to require a 12 hours of video. The Homunculus documentary we watched was 10 hours long. Okay, this one's only 2. It's part 1. There's going to be like 7 parts. It came out last night. It's about the Bible. Are you guys ready to get into it? Can I just get some fucking crazy, cool, trippy emotes in the chat for whatever platform you're in? He gives a warning in the beginning of this video. And when he gives the warning, if you are one of those people that decide to leave because this video is going to change the way you see the world, and I'm not being facetious, you're going to have to decide for yourself. This is going to be one of those streams that if you hang on with me the whole time and watch this, and you watch it or go watch it on your own, your perception of reality, unfortunately, is going to change. You're not going to be able to look at this information the same. If you don't believe me, well, you hope you brought some underwear because you might shit your pants.
Why is the world the way it is? Why are so many people waking up?
Mind you, like I want to say, before we get into this, bro, I watched this last night. I'm watching it a second time because there is dead ass so much information, bro. You might need to even watch it a second time. There's so much information to try and get a grasp of everything that I'm here for round 2. This video dropped yesterday and I'm about to watch it a second time with y'all. I love you guys. Buckle up.
Why is the world the way it is? Why are so many people waking up, yet the world is still asleep? Hey guys. It's been a long 3 months, and in that time I've grown a lot. Now I understand that everyone was worried why the video was taking so long, but sometimes it's not about how long a video takes, but how long it takes before a flower can bloom. And that can only happen when you follow the river. For sometimes she takes you to places you never expect. So what's going on? Well, I got a lot to say, so let me catch you up. So this all started with the Epstein series. Honestly, doing mainstream politics and recent events is not really my cup of tea. So
We've watched them all here on stream. Can I just get a head count? Is there anybody up in here who watched any of them with me? From any of the platforms, Facebook, Kick, Twitch, YouTube, wherever you may be? These are insane, bro. I learned so much about Jeffrey Epstein from this dude. The one thing I love about this guy specifically is he puts all of his sources in the description. We have fact checked this guy more and more times than I probably fact checked majority of the people that I watched, to be honest with you. And he's always been spot on. I encourage you to go follow Mind Unveiled. Mind Unveiled. Let's get right back into this.
So I never really thought of doing Epstein content until it became clear that there was a bigger picture unfolding. What came was a 6-part series that showcased a hidden part of our world, one based on actual evidence and not just fear-based theories. No, I'm not going to recap the entire series, but suffice to say that it was an interesting sequence of events that culminated on the Part 6 video. Candace.
Yes. I don't know if we all watched the Candace one together. I have watched the Candace one, and I am still Team Candace Go Max.
Many people came to the assumption that something was wrong, because after the Candace video, the river picked up and flowed in a certain direction. The 7. Why 7? Why is 7 so important? Well, at the time, to be honest with you, I didn't really think much of it. I was just following the normal flow. I thought I was going to continue the Epstein series, so when finishing the Part 6 Bride of Farmer video, I knew Part 7 had to do with deception. That's all I knew. I had an entire video going through the files, specifically involving this concept. You are being deceived. But in that process, something else was presented. It wasn't really a choice, it was a sign. In the America is Under a Trance video,
America Under a Trance was him talking about Project Monarch. You know about Project Monarch? If you've been, dead ass, if you're the type of person to watch my consistent streams, bro, and hang out with me, bro, you know what Project Monarch is, bro. MK Ultra. You know, the mind control programs that they have perpetuated on probably every living human on the planet still to this day. The supposedly the research facilities and all that stuff shut down.
there's a specific part that can summarize the entire reason why America is asleep in one statement: the suppression of the divine feminine.
Oh, yeah. Let me bring you in close while we're doing this, okay? Closer. 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 Just kidding. I gotta genuinely ask you, bro. You know what I'm saying? I gotta genuinely ask. Why is God depicted as a man? How come God is always depicted as like this older gentleman with like a gray beard, you know? Like Zeus kind of. But then when you start to like do some research into like the Hermetic principles, because I know that religions have all been lying to me my whole life, but I do know that there is a God and there is like a spiritual path that I've been on myself, that I've entertained and looked at the data for all sorts of different religions and kind of just gathered my own interpretation of it and created my own spiritual path. I don't need another human to middleman my conversations with God or with Source or with Universe or Yahweh or whatever you call it. But on my journey, I have come to the realization, radical realization, that the entire universe is all based on and created with the need for both divine masculine and divine feminine. We've talked about divine masculine and divine feminine quite a bit, actually. There is some divine feminine energy inside of my wife that makes my wife, in my eyes and perception, the perfect woman, right? You might feel similar to your spouse or to other people or whatever it may be, but can you understand and acknowledge that there is the energy for it to exist? It has to be dual. They have to have poles on each side, where the energy can bounce back and ebb and flow for the law of polarity and the law of duality. There can't just be one single thing. That's why it's up, down, hot, cold, light, dark. You know, there's polar opposites of everything. Short, fat, or short, tall, skinny, fat. It's all like these polar opposites. That's how the universe works, is in a pendulum type thing, and ebbs and flows and through frequencies that come to each pole. So if there is a divine masculine, which has been portrayed as like God for all of time, right, is like this Zeus type figure, gray beard, all the almighty. And then, but that's like what everyone is like programmed to believe a visual depiction of God looks like. But where's the divine feminine? Why did they try so hard to display and discredit who Mary Magdalene was to Jesus? I'm telling you right now, who Mary Magdalene was to Jesus? Mary Magdalene was a freaking sorceress. So was Mary the mother. Homunculi. That's all I have to say. Homunculus. If you know, you know. The more and more I deep dive into these occult, hidden traditions and groups and secret societies and Rosicrucians and the 300 Club and the Scottish Rite and the Freemasons and the Illuminati and the Khazarian Mafia and the Phoenicians and the Canaanites and Baal worship and all of these things. Our world is just run by wizards and witches, demons and angels. Like real magic. Not MAGIC, bro. Not like fucking David Blaine magic. Like magic like MAGIK. Like real magic. We've all been programmed to believe that magic and witches and wizards and energy transmutation and alchemy and shit is all like these woo-woo freaking esoteric freaking old played out not real terms. What do you believe? I don't know. For some reason I just went on a freaking rant, bro. Sorry about that. Let's get back to the divine feminine. Let's get back to this
statement. The suppression of the divine feminine. Now, while the Candace video branched off that main spine, it was not the core stem. This isn't an expose channel. She naturally came into our discussion because of Project Monarch. There was someone else who came up in that video naturally, and that's going to be our new branch off point.
Now here's the thing. I am right-wing. I'm actually more right-wing than all of these people. I'm more right-wing than Daily Wire. I'm more right-wing than Turning Point USA. I'm more right-wing than Donald Trump. And I'm certainly more right-wing than Laura Loomer. Why? I'm a Catholic monarchist. I think that we should have like a Christian king or like a Christian dictatorship.
And let's not forget, he kind of set me up for this. But so you know, this is...
Real quick. Vibe check. Who up in here is freaking Fuentes fans? Do I have any groipers in here? Just curious. No hate. I don't really like Nick Fuentes very much, but I do believe he's necessary. I do believe that there needs to be people that say shit that triggers people and makes people upset, because growth doesn't happen when you're comfortable. But anyone in here like this dude, Nick Fuentes? I think he's an op, bro. I hear out what he has to say. Some of the things I resonate with. Now, do I believe in his racial beliefs? Not necessarily, no. Do I believe that there is a coordinated attack on people with white skin color? Yeah. I think everyone of every skin color is under attack from the elites, bro. So it doesn't make any of us worse or better than anyone. We're all under attack. We need humans to survive the apocalypse or the AI takeover. We need humans to survive. Where's Team Human at? Oh yeah, we're over here fucking live streaming every single fucking day. Hell yeah.
is not a Nick expose. He really isn't even a part of this. He's more like a mimetic symbol. But really, I just want to discuss ideas. Don't take my word for anything. Everything I show you, I suggest you follow the river and look at it for yourself. And it's not just Nick. It's all the major Christian YouTubers and political entertainers who use religion as a weapon. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. This video is the product of nature and love. The two things they...
1 second. I heard someone refer to something as a mimetic symbol. Can you please give me context to what a mimetic symbol is?
Sure thing. A mimetic symbol is essentially a sign or image that spreads through culture like a meme. The concept comes from memetics, which compares the spread of ideas to the way genes replicate. For a symbol to be mimetic, it should be simple, easy to remember, and share.
It's like a meme, something that just like sticks forever and means a whole bunch of stuff, I guess, right? That's what he just said.
This video is the product of nature and love. The two things they could never bury. But first, I must warn you. This video and what follows it hold the power to change how you see the world. This isn't a joke. The heart and soul was put into this. Do not watch this video unless you're prepared to challenge everything you hold dear.
Everything you hold dear. Who's here with me? Who's here with me? Who's ready to challenge everything that you hold dear? Hello, what's up? What's up, everybody up over on Kick? What's up? Facebook, what's up? Where you at, Facebook? Twitch, what's up? We're going to watch this, Janice. We're going to, or release, I'm not sure which one it is, who it is, if it's Janice or her husband, but we're getting into this. I'm telling you right now, like I said, I've watched this guy's channel a lot, and every single time he has ever given a warning, you should take the warning seriously. This is going to explain so much information. So don't be scared. Ask questions. Let's try and understand this all together. If you see something and you have a question about it, freaking drop the question in the chat. We're here to learn together, right?
Now, saying that, I will do my best to be a guide, and I will do so with love. You deserve to know the message behind this video. It's just not going to be easy. What that means is this video...
Real quick, I'm telling you. If you're on Facebook right now, you are going to want to watch this stream with me on a different platform. The vertical version isn't ideal for watching documentaries with Team Human, bro. The horizontal version is best, right? So hit the link that's pinned to the top of the chat. Come over to Kick. When you come over to Kick, if you could just put a little green, red, and a yellow heart in the chat so I know that you came over. That's where all of Team Human is. The squad that I don't want to say followers, right? Because what Team Human is I want to build Team Human to be so strong that when people look at us, they don't know who is the one who started Team Human. I just started the movement. We're all doing this together. But everybody who follows everything that Team Human's been doing, they are on my all platforms, bro. They're up over on Kick. That's where I'm trying to just create the little home base, is over up on Kick. I just barely started it. Team Human's in the chat. Can we just get Team Human in the chat a whole bunch? The people on Facebook can see the chat on Kick. All the people with green names, yeah, that's Kick chatting. Let's go, Kick. Light up the stream. Here we go. Oops.
is a door. What that means is this video is a door. If you walk through that door, you're entering a new realm. that is your choice to make. So what's the video about? Why did it take so long? It was obvious. Something was calling. I knew what I had to do. I must tell her story. In order to do that, something else must be unveiled. It is time for the world to know the truth about the Bible. This all happened because of one thought. A thought came to me. What if I used the tools that I built to search and organize my findings in the millions of files? What if I used that to study the Bible? That thought led me on a 3-month journey that resulted in this video. Something became blatantly clear. The history of mind control is deeply connected with religion.
Okay, real quick. While we're waiting for people to transfer from Facebook to Kick, if they are, I'm hoping that's what happened because I lost a bunch of followers over there or viewers. I'm not sure. But let's just read some of these little key points that he is showing. It creates a web of all of these things that are coming across in these freaking Melissa's in the house. Let's go. What's up, Melissa? Let's go. We get some hearts for you. Fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yeah. Shit yeah. Hell yeah, brother. Fuck yeah. Shit yeah. Hell yeah, sister. Okay. Secret history, the garden. Humunculus. That's the one, bro. That was a, where's it at? Where's it at? Dude, I had to make a token, bro, about the humunculus, bro. I'm being childish today. I'm in a little weird vibe. You're right. Humunculus. Alrighty. The Iberian root, the keys, forged history, artificial king right, the suppressed mother, the immortals, the Joan vessel, ciphers, MK Ultra and religion, the northern ones, the secret king. Dude, well, I watched probably an hour and a half, bro. And then I fell asleep, and then Queen Trip watched almost all of it. She actually did watch all of it. She actually was like, I'm going to need to come jump up and down to the stream ski. Where's my Twitch? My kick or the kick? Pop out chat. Let's go. What's up, dude? What's up, dude? I watched it. Yeah, I watched it last night. Let's get right back into this. Let's go. It's a 2-hour long one. I'm trying to knock it all out now. Today, right now, with all you on stream.
And there was so much of it, way more than I ever expected. Originally, I planned this as one video. A single 12-hour Bible Unveiled, something to rival Homunculus Unveiled. And for months, that's exactly what I was building. But once July hit, I realized that that one thing was limiting it. What I've researched and decoded runs way past what one video can hold. So in spirit, it's still a single work, but I'm gonna give it to you in a multi-part series. That way it gets the love and care it deserves, and it's not rushed. Guys, it's 2026, and the Bible, the book, can finally be fully analyzed and decoded, her mysteries for all to see. But let me ask you, do you believe in signs? Do you believe God and/or reality can communicate with you? This video is really for anyone curious about what the Bible really is. Now, I don't claim to have all the answers, but I present a base with a river that floweth. And that river has its turnings, its signs, small little stones where they need to be. This is Fortuna and her wheel. and the wise watch the wheel, for the wheel weaves and she plays a tune. Christ said it plainly. John 7. Out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. And he said it was of the Spirit. The river was never out there. It runs inside of you. This video is not just for Christians, but to be honest, I do think the Christian community needs to come together for a discussion. If you're a skeptic and believe the Bible's all nonsense, you'll probably enjoy this video as well. Have you guys seen those Bible iceberg videos? They're pretty cool, but the issue is they never really actually decode anything. They just present the mysteries and that's it. Well, this isn't an iceberg video. This is the Bible unveiled, and it is the first of many to come. We will get straight to the most mysterious and esoteric parts of the entire Christian tradition. But what you must understand is this video is a work of art. It's not just an investigation or presentation, it's a painting. And in that there are certain understandings that can be had that are deeper than teachings of the tongue. Please, don't just accept anything as the truth. Do your homework. And see this video as just us flowing on the stream together. So why 7? It's a good question. Don't ask me. Once you see it, it's everywhere. And soon, you won't be able to get away from it either. Is it all just a coincidence? 7 days in a week, 7 colors in the rainbow, 7 notes in the scale, 7 seas, 7 continents, 7 wonders of the world, 7 deadly sins, 7 drawers, lucky number 7, the jackpot, you win, 007, 7 chakras up the spine. Okay, sure, you probably heard all those. But it's about to get weird with the 7s. I mean, most people are aware that the weekdays are these 7 classical planets. But really think about why. Why do we have what was once an esoteric system of observing the wandering stars embedded into the fabric of how we live week to week? If you believe in astrology, you must also follow the signs during the weeks and hours. Same 7, secretly a part of every aspect of our lives. Greek has exactly 7 vowels, 1 for each planet. September actually means 7. It just got shoved 2 months down the calendar. Roman numerals, 7 letters. Even your mind only holds about 7 things at once, give or take. There are said to be 7 sages who brought civilization before the Great Flood, and that memory shows up in several different mythologies. Then you open up the Bible, and it's everywhere. 7 days of creation, and rest on the 7th. Pharaoh dreams 7 fat years and 7 lean. Jericho, 7 priests, 7 trumpets, 7 days, and on the 7th time around, the walls come down. Naaman dips 7 times, and the leprosy is gone. Forgive him, not 7 times, but 70 times 7. The Sabbath is the 7th day, and the Sabbath year is every 7th year. And the Jubilee comes after 7 times 7. Wisdom builds her house and hews out her 7 pillars. And then Revelation just opens the floodgates. Try to say it in one breath. 7 churches, 7 spirits, 7 golden lampstands, 7 stars, 7 seals, 7 trumpets, 7 bowls, 7 thunders. The Lamb has 7 horns and 7 eyes. The dragon has 7 heads. The beast sits on 7 hills. It is a 7 of 7 of 7, all the way down. And it's not just our Bible either. The soul is said to climb through 7 heavens. The first surah in the Quran is 7 verses.
Oops.
Muhammad ascends through 7 heavens. The goddess Inanna descends.
Oops. Sorry about that.
All the way down. And it's not just our Bible either. The soul is said to climb through 7 heavens. The first surah in the Quran is 7 verses. Muhammad ascends through 7 heavens. The goddess Inanna descends through 7 gates. The Roman soldiers had a mysterious religion with 7 grades of initiation. The Tower of Babel rose in 7 stages, one color for each planet. Even the menorah, the 7 lamps. Josephus and Philo both set it straight. Those are the 7 planets. Yeah.
Okay. Bro, we're only like what?
That's a lot of 7.
12 minutes into this freaking We're only 12 minutes into this documentary, bro. Did you know did you ever make that mental connection about all the 7s, bro? Can we just hella drop 7 in the chat, just the number 7 just over and over and over again? It's pretty insane, bro.
Those are these 7 planets. Yeah. That's a lot of 7s. And it doesn't even begin to scratch the surface. And then you find that Daniel measures the end in 70 weeks, which is 70 times 7, 490 years. And in Genesis, there's a man named Lamech who lived 777 years. 7, 7, 7. Is it all divine works? Then that would mean God worketh in mysterious ways. Is it numerology? The universe speaks.
Dab Hound Masterson. I don't know if I've ever even seen you in here before. I do believe what you are saying, bro, that we are just the universe experiencing life in physical form. I believe that 100%. I just don't know if I just wanted to say what's up, bro. Thanks for clicking on my video, bro. I appreciate you. What's up? Welcome to Team Human, bro. I just don't know if I'd ever seen your name before and just wanted to say what's up, bro.
In numbers that much. Is it numerology? The universe speaks in numbers, that much is clear. Or is it just all apophenia? Well, we'll do our best to avoid that. But one thing's for certain. There are mysteries in the Bible, and numbers are involved. Why is it that a few verses earlier, there's another Lamech, a different man, same name, who's...
I guess I'll say this to you. I don't know if you watch live streams very much, Dab Hound, but the whole squad is pretty much all up over on Kick. The link to my Kick is pinned to the top of the chat on YouTube. If you head over to Kick, could you just make sure and you just put like a red, a green, and a yellow heart in the chat just so I know that you came over? I appreciate you for being here. You don't even have to go to the Kick. I'm just trying to grow the Kick. That's where the whole Team Human squad is migrated to, bro. What's up, Julia? What's up? I see you. I just appreciate you for being here, bro. Let's get back into this.
Says he will be avenged 70 and 7-fold. The same name carrying the same number twice? 7. So what does any of this have to do with the Bible? Well, literally everything. Okay, so you see it. What's with the 7s?
Kevin is a human. What's up, Kevin? We love you, Kevin. Kevin is a human. Made it up over onto or Kick. Bro, Kick's pretty... Dude, I already pretty much hit subscriber, like, with ability to subscribe. I don't know if it's going to give that to me, but I'm pretty sure tomorrow's stream, I'll be able to have subscribers. This road to monetization, bro, for Kick is way easier than even Twitch was, bro. I appreciate you for turning me on to Kick. I've been thinking about it for a while. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to say I appreciate you for being there for me in all the ways that you have, bro. If nobody's told you today, Kevin, bro, I'm proud of you. I love you, homie.
Well, again, most skeptics will just say either coincidence or...
I guess it's just the perfect time real fast. If anybody does, you know what I'm saying? If you guys, what's up, Dab Masterson? You made it. What's up? Hell yeah. But if you guys don't know who Kevin is a Human is, bro, he's one of the founders of Buyer, bro. It's an app you can get on your phone that you can scan anything with a barcode. I have it on my phone. It's literally on my phone, bro. You scan anything with the barcode, it tells you all the nutritional values. If there's poison inside of it, you could use it for your hygiene products, your makeup products, your hair care products, food, whatever it may be. You can also use this same platform to actually know where your money's going at the end of the money trail. Like when you go to the store, you can know if you're giving your money to a company that's family owned, founder owned, privately owned versus like giving your money just to some bank or some mega corporation. This platform is definitely a game changer for Team Human, bro. You can basically vote who and what companies you support with your dollars. You know, dollars, these coins we get in the Matrix that you probably have. You have to basically to survive, give your energy away so you can get these like fake Matrix coins that buys you things. It just helps to even know where your money is going, because would you want to give your money to a coffee company if you were to find out that that coffee company is getting your coffee because children in a different country are being basically slaves to this company to harvest your coffee for you? At least, hell no, I don't want slave labor. Freaking making it so slave labor is providing my shit. I'll pay extra money. It does that. I'm on Team Human. You know what I mean? He also is the co-founder and one of the people involved with Web. We use Web repeatedly up on here. Right now, we actually have stuff about the word goyim inside of the Epstein files up on Web currently. But yeah, bro. Shout out Kevin is a Human, Ian Carroll, friends of the show. Let's get right back into this.
Or a replication of a natural phenomenon. And so you see it. What's with the sevens? Well, again, most skeptics will just say either coincidence or a replication of a natural phenomenon. However, let's explore that. I think the 7 is a sign, and it points in a very particular direction.
No audio? You have no audio? Can everybody hear? Can y'all hear me? Oh, okay. Just making sure. Thanks for letting me know, though. If just for everybody, if you ever have problems where there's no audio, I can hear it always on my end. So just let me know always. Thanks, though. I appreciate you, Melissa. Thank you guys for always showing up for me, bro. You guys are the ones that are helping me follow my dreams. I just get up on here and talk shit on the internet and try and figure out what it means to be human in this matrix of information and energy. You guys are the ones that really are allowing me to even be able to do all this stuff, bro. You guys are the ones that come to the live streams. You guys are the ones that hit the like button, the follow button, comment. You know what I'm saying? And I just got to give it up to you. I'm grateful for you. Maybe take a few moments to just look around and just comment something you're grateful for.
So, if you had to describe the Bible in the fewest words possible, how would you describe it? I have my answer. Kings. Yeah, kings. But not just any kings. Nature kings. Now, it will take me some time to explain that. In order to do so, I must tell you her story. And there are many layers. Also,
We love you, Melissa.
I don't want any one religion or Christian denomination to feel singled out, so do know this video is directed towards all religions and all Christian denominations. We will cover your specific orientation and time, and you'll start to see a pattern. The invisible threads.
You notice? Wait, real quick. I just got to point out real fast. He doesn't have Mormon on here. He doesn't have the LDS Church labeled as a Christian religion. Just an interesting little thing I noticed. It's because they're not, they're not really Christian. They talk about Jesus sometimes, but most of the time they're talking about Joseph Smith. And, they go to the temple so they can do these free Masonic handshakes to get into secret rooms, which each room is a different level of righteousness that you've reached. And once you reach the top level, supposedly you get your own planet and you get to play The Sims, but with another planet, another Earth. and that you can eventually go back to the planet Kolob where their god lives.
I want to make it clear, I'm not attacking Christianity. This is not some zeitgeist type video where my goal is to show similarities to other cultures with the intent of debunking or anything. Not at all. I see so much beauty in Christianity, and so much of it was lost. It is my goal to preserve the original Christianity. And in that pursuit, I do my best to stay as unbiased and undogmatic as possible. Not only is there beauty, there's history, much of which does not line up with the mainstream version we were handed. So we will be going through some wild alternative history. For example, what if I told you the Bible is really a medieval feudal document? The deeper you look at who actually built our timeline, the stranger it gets. It's all connected. So, where are the Christian kings at? Where are the Christian leaders? Because all true kings come from the mother. And I'm not talking politics here. I'm honestly asking, who actually leads the Christian world? From the top all the way down, it's basically 7 thrones. First and foremost, the whole Christ is king. We'll have much to say on that, but no, it may be foreign to your perception of that concept. Second, royalty. The bloodlines who carry the tradition, the ones responsible for what we consider the modern day. Third, the state, the ruling power. And if it is a Christian nation, it is meant to serve as a kingdom under God. Is America a Christian nation? Let's talk about that. Fourth, the church, the institution itself. Though its power has fallen substantially, people still go, but the practices between today and just a century ago are shockingly different. Fifth, the political voices. The people who dominate the political sphere and claim a Christian background. And I won't question their religious authenticity. For now, I'll assume they are true to their own beliefs. Sixth.
Okay, so I'll figure it out after the stream, Brittany, but I'm pretty sure I can determine what I get to determine what gets moderated. Terrence McKenna said that Christianity is revolved around pedophilia. That's the message that got deleted. Yeah, I mean, I can just it says that it's under hate. So I don't know, maybe I don't know if that comment is necessarily hateful, but yeah. Oh, let me drop it for you real quick. Let me just drop the kick link real fast for everybody. All right, let's get back into this.
The creators, the YouTubers, streamers, content creators, and authors. A few Christian leaders now build the worldview for the masses. And in doing so, they shape what Christianity even looks like to a whole generation. Seventh, the people, the house, how we influence each other. Ultimately, we all have the power to lead and set an example. And it is our
What's up, Eternity? Over on Kick, let's go!
duty to do so. That may be the most important throne of all. So when it comes to Nick Fuentes, it would seem, in relation to what we're discussing, he is the one with the most influence behind him right now. The one being built into the face of a movement around this idea of the United States being a Christian nation, and specifically Catholic. So look, this isn't an expose. Bread and Farmer came naturally, and so did this. It came from the fountain. Why Nick? because of everything he represents. Who will lead Christianity, and how will it affect women? The question is, who will protect the women? Andrew Wilson, he's well known for his debate cliques, the Whatever podcast, right? Have you guys seen that? It's almost this entire culture war where one side is fighting the other, but both sides are polarized and will never come together. So,
What's up? What's up? What's up? Who's up in here? Hell yeah, there's lots of people up on Kick. We got them on Kick, Twitch, Facebook. What's up? YouTube. What's up? Sorry, the chats are over here. Just so you know, that's if I'm ever looking over here, I'm actually just looking at chats. If I could show you. Chat. My stream. Chat. My stream. So yeah, was looking. Becky's in the house. What's up? What's up?
so ask yourself right now, is our culture one that protects women?
Ask yourself, just like you said. Ask yourself right now. You can give me an answer in the chat. Is our culture a culture that protects women? I don't think so. What do you think?
While each side has their own explanations to point their finger at, one thing is consistently ignored in all of these debates: the history of the church, brotherhoods, and sisterhoods. Obviously, something is missing, something we're not being told, and it has to do with a lost tradition. Something these Christian YouTubers will never look into, for they do not have the keys or tool set to explore the deepest mysteries. But it doesn't matter. The time has come to where Christians will no longer be able to ignore the cold facts about the Bible. Anyone who refuses to look into the mysteries of the Bible from here on out is simply not being honest. And think about it. Fuentes. It's not necessary to fully break down the matter. Again, I'm not here to attack him. He's told you exactly who he is, and most of you know what he's known for. You could argue that he's the antithesis to the sacred feminine. Those with eyes will see clearly. That brick ceiling, it must crumble. Only then is the body of the mother restored, and the wheel will turn. So let's go down the rabbit hole together. For a king must know the esoteric tradition of Christianity. It is no longer something to be kept to underground whispers under the secret oaths of the fraternities. And yes, early Christianity itself ran as a secret order. The mysteries withheld from outsiders. The rites themselves called sacramentum, the Roman word for a soldier's secret oath. There's been this new wave of Christians on YouTube realizing that Freemasonry is actually esoteric and occult. You have a bunch of Christian content online recently where there's this Christianity versus Freemasons or Christianity versus Kabbalah stuff, right? Like that Jay Dyer debate with Freemasons. No, I'm not saying they're wrong in doing so. I'm saying the framework that they're operating from ignores the connection between them both. Like, for example, with this clip.
Rules for living your life. But there's another aspect of Judaism which is very mystical. It's called Kabbalah.
Yeah.
And that is something that is very much a part of their theology and very much a part of their religion. And Kabbalism is kind of where all of the occult springs from. Like if you get into Aleister Crowley, if you get into the Masonic stuff, the Illuminati, it all really comes from Kabbalah. It all comes from like the Zohar. It all comes from those, let's say, hermeneutics about the book of Genesis, about the books of Moses.
Now, I'm not defending Freemasons at all, so don't get it twisted. What I'm trying to point out is this. You can't just label everything under Freemasonry and say, that thing is bad. What have I told you? that if you're a Christian, yes, if you identify as a Christian, you're actually a secretly initiated Freemason.
Can we just let that fester? Ooh, who's in here? If you have ever identified as a Christian, you are a secretly initiated Freemason. Let's hear what he's got to say about this.
A Christian is actually a low-level Mason. You were initiated without being told. And I would argue that is the reason the world is the way it is. Now, if you scoffed or think I'm kidding, you should wait a second. This is very serious, and it's comparable to a type of programmable script that can be ran inside the mind. Secret societies did not start with Freemasonry, and the entire history of Christianity is based on secrets. Clement of Alexandria wrote that the deepest mysteries of the faith were not to be divulged at all. Origen said that the Spirit left stumbling blocks in the plain text on purpose to push you past the surface. Cyril called his final lectures the mystagogical, the initiation into the mysteries. That's not me saying there are secrets. That's the Church Fathers describing the system from the inside. And let us not forget, one of the old Gospels called the Holy Spirit the Mother. It simply did not make the canon. Let me tell you a little bit about...
Let's just read this real fast. Christology. The theology of the gospel is strongly influenced by Jewish Christian wisdom teaching. The Holy Spirit is represented as the manifestation of divine wisdom, who is called Mother, the feminine aspect of the Spirit. Interesting.
myself. I've mentioned this in other videos, but I was born in Spain, and I'm from a Catholic family. I'm American, half Spanish, half American, but I wanted to bring this up now because I have some experiences on the esoteric tradition that led me here. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not religious, I'm not Catholic, but I'm not an atheist. I'm deeply spiritual, and it doesn't need any more label than that. But another thing...
Can we all just... Can we just drop some emotes in the chat? Because I don't identify with any religion, but oh boy, am I a deeply spiritual person. I probably talk about spirituality more than most people do. I do it consistently on the internet. Consistently talking about spiritual things with the people around me. Consistent. I believe that I am an eternal being that is chosen to incarnate here as a path paver, a light bearer to bring light to certain things and bring information to the masses. Why else? I don't know why else I would have been blessed by the universe with a following. That's one of the reasons why I just can't really do like a lot of social media content creators. You know, it's one thing to like have a whole channel that's based off of you just doing silly TikTok dances. But if you ever have had a channel where you're building it by talking about things and you haven't talked about the synagogue of Satan or ball worship or the Epstein files or the Charlie Kirk assassination or any of these compelling events that are happening and changing the world as we know it in real time right in front of us, then there has to be a reason for that. And majority of, I would say the reason is people are scared. People have fear. But I grew up Christian. I grew up in Utah. So if I'm being 100% honest with you, the Bible says do not fear or do not be afraid 365 times. And so I'm not scared at all. I love my life and I would never harm myself, but I'm not scared. You know what I mean? Have no fear. It just is interesting. Like I resonate towards the content creators that say exactly how they feel regardless of what anyone believes. To be honest, do I agree with everything Nick Fuentes says? No. Do I think that he's necessary? Yeah, because he encourages people to think for themselves. You know what I'm saying? That's all we got to do is speak for themselves. You know what I'm saying? Player. Hey, Valder, I just pinned this link to the top of the chat, bro. Head over to Kick, bro. We're all over here on Kick.
That led me down this path is I have this memory of an event called Semana Santa. It's a tradition that's common in Spain and Italy, but it was in my hometown. Weird, right? Looks kind of like the KKK. It's not, but I'll explain the entire...
Oh, we have GMC Dougal. We've watched both of God Eaters. Hell yeah, let's go. Thank you for coming over. Hopefully one day I can get Chuck on a stream and me and him can chat, bro.
Entire history and how it's connected to the origin of brotherhoods and the suppression of the divine feminine. This opened me to a whole world of information I was never taught. I grew up knowing about the tradition because, as a child, I'd be out on the street.
Sammy, what's up, Sammy? You're here. I'm trying to transition everybody over to Kick. I pinned it to the top of the chat. I don't know if you want to come over to Kick. That's where I'm trying to move over to. Twitch has been bullshitting me. You know what I mean? There should be no reason why I'm only making like $100 a month when I'm streaming like fucking 20 plus days a month. Probably like freaking 60 hours a month streaming. You know what I mean? So I'm just like I'm trying to move everybody over to Kick. So the Kick link is pinned to the top of the chat. I know you're at a charity thing and you're just lurking. I appreciate you even for just coming up in here and lurking, bro. Everybody in the Kick chat saying, Sammy, come to Kick. Let's rewind this a little bit though. Let's get this. I'm just rewinding that to get this in its full context, all right?
Doesn't need any more label than that. But another thing that led me down this path is I have this memory of an event called Semana Santa. It's a tradition that's common in Spain and Italy, but it was in my hometown. Weird, right? Looks kind of like the KKK. It's not, but I'll explain the entire history and how it's connected to the origin of brotherhoods and the suppression of the divine feminine. This opened me to a whole world of information I was never taught. I grew up knowing about the tradition because, as a child, I'd be out on the streets where they did these parades, and these statues would impress upon your mind. It wasn't until recently that I fully learned how it all connected. Most Christians have never been shown any of this, and it's important that the world gets access to these thoughts once again. I mean that truly. And so, on this pursuit, one must do so in love and honesty, for nature supports the growth of those who do so. So, from Candace in the old world, to Nick and Christian kings, to Christianity in the lost female tradition, that's what happened, and I want to present to you everything that I've found over the last 3 months.
Vibe check. Do you think that there is a feminine or a divine feminine aspect about these religions that have been erased or kept from us? What is it that you believe? You tell me. Let me know. I definitely... Damn, we got 17 people on Kick, bro. Let's go, bro. Dude. 17 people live on Kick right now, bro. Let's fucking go, bro. I love you guys. Thank you guys for just following me. Thank you for being here, dude. I didn't think it would be this like this, bro. You guys just show out every day. 11 on Twitch too. Damn, that's 30 people, bro. 30 people up in here, player. Shit, dude. Shit, motherfucker.
And it's honestly kind of insane. I mean, the entire Old Testament is literally an intelligence operation. So it kind of connects with everything we've been discussing. I will ask, however, for those who may disagree or feel the need to respond, treat this as a challenge. I don't know everything. I make mistakes, but I'm honest and I'm willing to learn. All I've done is put
Dead ass, bro. Dead ass, bro. Isn't that what it's all about, bro? I don't know everything and I make mistakes. I'm honest and I'm willing to learn. That's like really how I try my best to always stay in that energy. I don't know everything. I make mistakes and I try my best to just always learn.
trust in my skills, follow the flow, and put in the work. And I expect anyone else to do the same. Will you make a 7-hour video explaining the truth of Christianity? I'm not claiming to have it, but I am in the pursuit of exploring it. Many Christians aren't really clear exactly what their position is. If you have the truth, and that truth is in Christ, then you have no need to watch this video. However, if you do watch this video, then that means there's something more. There's something missing. Something you're trying to remember. For now, I present this as a work of art, and it goes by many names. You are being deceived. Her story, 7. And now, the Bible Unveiled, Part 1. So it's pretty obvious. I mean, just look at social media recently. You are being deceived. Look at this. Look at that. A new war, a new villain, a new outrage, a new thing to buy, a new thing to fear. Every day, a new scandal that's forgotten by lunch. Scroll, scroll, scroll. From politics to global entertainment, the world has narrowed our consciousness to a single point.
Who resonates with that one? Scroll, scroll, a new villain, a new bad guy, war, 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 headline, look over here, buy this. So true, bro, so true.
Distraction. They don't even try to hide the truth anymore. They just bury it under 1,000 brighter things. Politics became a sport, religion became a brand, and your attention sold by the second. It was never about making you believe one thing. It was about keeping you looking out here, external, so you never look in there, internal.
Oh my gosh, dropping bombs he is. It has never, ever been about ever getting you to believe anything. It's about getting you so distracted that you don't know what to believe. Because if you are scared and don't know what's happening around out here, you're never going to be able to get to where you can learn inside of here. Because we're all been stuck in like survival mode where everybody's just like worrying about like the next paycheck or how they're going to feed their family or, you know, et cetera, et cetera. It's straight survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, all you can really do is pay attention to the threats that are around you and you will never pay attention to yourself. It's powerful, bro.
Deception, from the Latin decipere, to take, to catch, to ensnare. To be deceived is to be caught, and the hook only works while you're looking away. Deception is a conception.
Thank you, Monica. I love you. Thank you for always showing up.
Of your perception that is in control of the exception. Now, we're going to be covering themes that Christians will attempt to label with.
Do you guys, real quick, who, anybody in here anybody up in here freaking know who Wes Huff is? That's this individual, Wes Huff. He's online talking a lot about Jesus and Christianity. I don't know. Maybe you guys know him. I'm obsessed, bro, with Jesus, bro, and the Christianity and all religions and the creation of humans and history that's been erased and all of that stuff. But yeah, his name's Wes Huff, but he's like the layers go deep, bro. Apostle Paul, Jesus prophesied him as being a false idol, and all of Christianity is based off of Paulism, which is like from the Apostle Paul, who wasn't even around when Jesus was alive. And so he's like trying to create content to solidify the Christian narrative as it is. Huff, Huff, Wes Huff.
Gnosticism. And we must address this immediately. This video is not a Gnostic retelling of the Bible. Absolutely not. There is a huge difference between Gnosis and Gnosticism. And we'll discuss this all in good time. But for now, it's easier to explain it this way. There are two extremely powerful arts. One is the art of remembrance. The other is the art of deception. And you can only be made to forget some part of you that you already knew. Neither are inherently good or evil, for not all deception's bad. Is it evil to tell your kids about Santa Claus? You know it's not the full truth, yet many still do. It's a tradition, right? So it's important to keep that going. And for those who are done with the Christmas tradition, do you think God is deceptive? I'm just asking. We don't have to get too deep too quick. But it's a good question. What is the nature of this realm?
What's up, dude? Sammy, sweetheart, made it over to Kick. Let's go, Sammy.
Because here's the strange part. The Bible says yes. There's one scene where God sits on his throne, the host of heaven around him, and he asks, who will go and deceive the king? A spirit steps forward. I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And God says, go, you will succeed. So yes, apparently, in Kings and again in Chronicles, Ezekiel has the Lord say, if the prophet is deceived, I, the Lord, have deceived the prophet. Jeremiah cries out, Lord, you have deceived me. And the New Testament says God will send a strong delusion so they will believe a lie. Believe. So what kind of realm?
Did you hear what he said about believe? I mean, it's spelled believe, but he pronounced it believe.
Is this one where the truth wears a veil? But the veil was never to hide it from you. It was to hide it for you. Because a thing you remember on your own is more yours than a thing that you're handed. The only question is whether you have the eyes to see it. And that is what a key is for. Many grew up with the Bible already well established within the household. The most owned book in the country, and yet quietly, one of the least read. When you get used to something, it's difficult to see it in new ways. But by the end of this video, you'll be able to see things that were in front of your face all along, but you just didn't have the tools to see it. This is the part that nobody tells you. Jesus did not teach everyone the same way. To the crowds, he spoke in stories, parables, little tales about seeds and coins and lost sheep. But then he would take the few aside, in private, and tell them what the stories actually meant. And he says himself, right there in Mark chapter 4, unto you it is given to know the mystery of the kingdom of God, but unto them that are without, all these things are done in parables. Unto you, to the ones on the inside, to everybody else, you just get the story. The inside reading is the same story you grew up with. it just stops being a children's tale. It doesn't make the book smaller. It makes it bigger, more interesting, more magical. Not just that, but there are many anachronisms that we need to discuss. Most atheists use this as a way to debunk the Bible. I see it differently. I see it as clear indication of alternative history. Why is the book full of things that did not exist yet? Camels carrying loads centuries before camels were tamed here. Iron tools before the Iron Age. A people called the Philistines walking around hundreds of years before they show up according to mainstream history. And are we going to talk about the paintings? Since medieval times.
Yeah. Brittany said it best. If you're going to hang out with us, you definitely can resonate with having two eyes to look, but one eye to see, bro. You know what I mean? Because you have to be able to see the different dimensions, the different layers of things. Not just these eyes look, this eye is what sees it.
The great masters drew Abraham in European robes, kings in European castles, a holy land that looks exactly like medieval Europe. These weren't ignorant men. They painted it as their own world because to them it simply was. Their own kings, their own land, not some faraway desert. But it gets deeper than that. Why does so much of the Old Testament read like a legal contract? It doesn't sound like myth or poetry at all. I mean, literally, a lord, and then a servant who comes and bows, an offering paid. The Lord then speaks the grant of land, and when the deal is broken, it gets recorded like an amendment to a will. That's not how the holy books of the ancient world sound. That's how a medieval kingdom writes down who owns what. Why are there verses in the Bible that the...
Oh yeah, I guess this is the perfect time to do that, right? Real fast for everyone who is here. Let me just drop the Discord link real fast. If you want to come up over in Discord, join our group chat, bro. Join the group chat, drop in the link in all platforms. Click the link, join our Discord player. Join the Discord player. Come hang out with us in Discord. We got a whole bunch of chats, bro. Or chit chat, little chittity chit chat. You know what I'm saying? Whoa, some mushrooms, hell yeah. You know what I'm saying? Come join Discord, bro.
oldest copies don't have. The clearest line in the whole book for proving the Trinity, one God in three, sits in 1 John. There are three that bear record in heaven, the Father, the Word, and the Holy Ghost, and these three are one. Well, that's not in a single Greek manuscript for the first 1,000 years. It was worked in later, written backward into the text so it would look like it had always been there. And this isn't something that I know. It's in a seminary textbook. They admitted it back in the 1800s. Open a modern Bible and you will find that the verse is either gone or boxed off with a footnote telling you it was never original. Someone put it there. And if verses could be added, whole books could be taken out. Jude, in the New Testament, quotes the book of Enoch by name and calls it prophecy. Yet, Enoch is not in the Bible. The doctrine the Christian faith kept, a burning hell, a son of man who comes to judge, traces back to that missing book more than to the Old Testament. The original King James Bible in 1611 printed 14 more books until they were quietly dropped in the 1800s. So we're told that the Bible is from 40 different writers, spread over 1,500 years, who never met, and somehow it all fits together like one person wrote it. And it does. A good Christian will tell you that one person is God. And the way it lines up is the proof. I'm not going to push back because the book really does read like one author. Or a group of authors. A specific order. But that's the story. That 40 different men who were strangers to each other, spread across 1,500 years, wrote the Bible. But there are some issues with that. Ezra 2 and Nehemiah 7 both give us the same census, the count of everyone who came back from Babylon. But the individual numbers don't match between the two lists. However, both of them land on the exact same total, 42,360. A total that neither list even adds up to. So somebody had that number and they wrote it down twice. Then across a whole book of Psalms, the name God gets swapped and replaced. The Lord turned into God, over and over. Psalm 14 and Psalm 53 are the same poem. One of them says the Lord, and the other says God. I'm not even reaching. Lubishane.
Oh. We are 36 minutes and 48 seconds in. Out of 2 hours and 9 minutes. Keep trucking along, dude.
An Old Testament professor at Groningen spent a career showing that the first 5 books were built on a deliberate counting system. The Torah.
This is where shit gets crazy, bro. This is where shit gets crazy, bro. Do you guys know what gematria is? Gematria? Buckle up, buddy. Buckle up, dude.
Composed by number. Is it really just inspiration that created the Bible? Or is there an architect? Now, we'll get to all of it. But once you begin to see, you start to remember. But in order to see, you need the key. What's a key? A key is a set of knowledge that allows you to read a book with new eyes, leading to new understandings. This isn't something I made up. It's actually very common in older books. And this key is very specific. You cannot see without it. So what is the key? Well, there are a few. But in order to explore the deeper mysteries of the Bible, we need to know the history of that which is hidden. And while there are many keys in the Bible, if you do not know the language of symbols, you will not come to know the other keys. Because what if I told you the Bible is a magical book? That's right. The Bible's deeply occult. The last book is literally called The Unveiling. It hands 7 churches 7 secret rewards, hidden manna, a white stone with a new name carved into it that the only one who receives it can read. And at the very end, a throne you're seated upon. Look at how John builds heaven. 4 faces around the throne, a lion, an ox, a man, and an eagle. Those are the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac. And Josephus said the temple was laid out on the same plan.
That bar is fire. Deception is the conception of your perception that is in control of the exception. Dropping bombs.
7 lamps for the 7 planets.
Let's run this back.
4 faces around the throne, a lion, an ox, a man, and an eagle. Those are the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac. And Josephus said the temple was laid out on the same plan. 7 lamps for the 7 planets, 12 stones for the 12 signs. There's an exact number of fish counted in the last chapter of John. 153. Not about 150, the precise account. And it just so happens that number.
No, we're blinking off camera because it's not a blinker. You know? There are other tools that are necessary that I don't necessarily want to bring on camera.
153 is one the old mathematicians held as sacred. This is not me reading magic into the text. There's no question. Once you have the key, the Bible is filled with occult knowledge. Now, we need to come to terms with the occult, because the word itself just means hidden, from the Latin occultus, to cover, to conceal. That's all it means. But somewhere in the last 100 years, we were taught that hidden means evil.
I don't know if you can hear my dogs up there. The dog's tripping out. She agrees too. Just because it is hidden doesn't mean it means evil, right? Occult just means evil. Whenever I use the word occult, I'm not necessarily meaning like Aleister Crowley, like dark magic, fucking black magic, summoning demons and doing sex magic and sacrificial magic. You know what I'm saying? Occult just means hidden. What if this book is actually filled with occult symbolism? What does that do? One of the things I love learning about this type of shit, bro, is figuring out how to integrate it. You know, integration. All of the most profound experiences that you've ever had in your entire life, whether it's on the positive side of the spectrum or the traumatic side of the spectrum, there's a period of time where your conscious mind needs to resonate. It needs to, just simmer a little bit with that frequency for then you to every day make conscious choices to actually integrate that information into your real life, right? Because what's the point of learning all of this stuff if you don't learn to integrate? Do you know what? Just a simple, I guess, example of how you possibly have to integrate it is, since I have done so many deep dives into the dark, satanic, the darkest rabbit holes into the Epstein files. Do you know how I integrated that? Is that I have become like a super dad, protective. My 9-year-old kid probably knows just as much as you do about the problems we have in the world. Obviously, in the vernacular of a 9-year-old, he knows who Diddy it was, bro. In a world full of pedophiles, do you think that there's no volume? There should be volume. Do we have volume? Someone's saying there's no volume on Kick. We've got volume on Kick. Everybody can hear me. Can you guys put alien emojis in the chat if you can hear me on Kick? So the people on Facebook can see that they can hear me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys can't hear me. Hello, check 1 2 2 7 4 9 8 32 41 680, dude. See, everybody can hear me. Okay. But I mean, like I said, the more and more I've come to realize that these secret systems have infiltrated and have tentacles into every aspect of the human life. And it seems to me the ones that are at the top running all of it are incestual pedophiles that sacrifice human children. It then gets to the point where I have to tell my children, like, oh, why can't you play the game Roblox? Oh, because there's some weird men out there that would try to hurt you and touch your wiener and your butthole. Is that wrong of me as a dad to tell my kids why I don't want them playing Roblox? Is that wrong to tell them and let them know that Jeffrey Epstein, that there are people out there that just because they're grown-ups that it doesn't mean that they have your best interest at heart or even care if you're safe? That's just my personal opinion. It's specifically, you just have to be, just because if we're going to change the way that the world is running, or the world currently seems to be at like a baseline conscious level of what most humans are running at baseline, Do you know why I don't let my kid play Roblox? Oh, it's because I've watched a lot of content from people that I trust talking about how that is like the number one platform that they are targeting kids to groom them in an event. And eventually there's like these groups of people on Discord and on Roblox that literally have platforms where they get people to send them nude photos. They like try to create like a little relationship and then get them to send nude photos, and then they blackmail the child all the way to self-exiting, and to do all of these things on camera where the people who are getting them to self-exit are getting paid by other people who want to watch this little kid self-exit. You know what I'm saying? I have to let them know what's up. If I'm going to create men, that's what I'm trying to do, right? I have currently some adolescent boys that look up to me to eventually teach them to be, train them, guide them, not teach them, but train them, guide them to be a good man. I wish a motherfucker would. Oh, wait, I did know that the world had pedophiles because I was molested at 5 years old. I'm a victim of this stuff. There's a divine internal vendetta against this stuff. And once you just go deep and dark down into all of this stuff, that you have to integrate it, bro. That's what I'm trying to get at. You have to integrate it. What if we continue watching this documentary and it seems to you that there's magic, like real magic in the Bible, bro? What's that going to do to you? You got to integrate, transmute it. That's what alchemists do, bro.
And that is how the truths beneath her veil got erased. Christianity equates magic and the occult with evil. Even in Kabbalah, right? You've seen much more talk about that lately, and it all gets put into a box, labeled and separated from the Christian faith. Well, see, we need to have a discussion about Christian.
Giggles, I love you. You got this, girl. We're all sending healing energy to you. Everyone spam the chat with hearts to Giggles. We got you. We've done meditation together, bro. Our particles are entangled, homie. Our particles are entangled across vast distances. We're all right now consciously with our conscious attention. This is how quantum physics works. We have meditated and raised our frequency together through breath work, and we are all sending healing energy toward you. We love you. I know you don't even feel good that today, and I just want to say thank you for even showing up. You know, we've talked a lot about how your conscious attention and where you put your focus literally changes reality. For just the last few moments, we all put our conscious attention into healing energy. And that's how quantum physics works. Where our attention goes, energy flows. And our attention right now is you getting your immune system boosted and you getting a little bit of relaxation, having to deal with all of the pain and the stress of what it even feels like to be in chronic pain. There's just like a mental exhaustion that happens when you're in chronic pain, and we all are just wanting you to know that it's already done, bro. It's already done. Can't you feel that shift? You know what I'm saying? You're not supposed to even just be coming down here like that. The answer is no. You have no privileges, homie. You got in trouble. So no. He does. I actually give him the remote.
Christianity, the occult, and secret societies. But before we can go deep into that, there's a mess. A nasty one. One left behind by the occult societies that corrupted the mother's original tradition. And that mother is wisdom. She's in the Bible too, by the way. In Proverbs, telling you that she was there before the world was made, standing beside God when he built the heavens. That is what has been hidden from you. The mother is at every stage in the Bible.
Wait a second. The Bible, the word wisdom is often referred to as lady wisdom. It's personified as a woman. That's interesting. That's an interesting little tidbit. What is wisdom? It's like all knowing, isn't it? It's like what does wise mean? Is wise different than intelligence? I personally believe that wise is different than intelligence. I would like to believe that they say gray is wisdom, isn't it? I don't know. But the three wise men, the three witches that were all involved in this character named Jesus. Yeah, the three wise men, or magoi, which are magi, which literally means magician. The three wizards who followed a star to go give Mary, the mother, some alchemical ingredients, frankincense, myrrh, and gold. And then the three Marys that just all seemed to all be present at the time of his death. Yeah, Mary's mom was there. You didn't know that? Weird.
And from you. The mother is at every stage in the Bible, hidden, because they buried her. Let me show you. It's time for you to know her story. Before we open Genesis, let's do a quick reflect.
Dude. Dead ass. Last time, and then we're going to knock at least a few moments of this video out. Can everybody who's like me and like Melissa, can you just comment, I love learning? You know what I mean? I love learning. That's what we're trying to figure out. You know what I'm saying, dude?
Sure on what the Bible actually is. The Bible is not one book. It is a library of books bound together inside a single cover. And depending on what Christian you ask, that library has a different number of books in it. The books are split into two big groups. The Old Testament, everything written before the time of Jesus, the Torah, the prophets, the wisdom books, the histories of ancient Israel. And the New Testament, everything attributed to the Christian movement that started in the 1st century. The 4 Gospels.
I'm just going to pull this up real quick. Oh, sorry. I see that there was no sound. Can you guys see the symbolism? Do you guys see esoteric stuff up in here? Occult symbolism in the Holy Bible already from right here. I also wanted to say there's a link. If you're on Facebook, I'm trying to get everyone to head over to Kick, bro. The link is pinned to the top of the chat. It's heading over to Kick. That's where the majority of the comments you're seeing on screen are coming from. But yeah, let's get back into this. If you come over to Kick from Facebook, can you just put something in the chat to let me know you came over?
The letters of Paul and the other apostles, and the book of Revelation at the end. The Protestant Bible has 39 Old Testament books and 27 New Testament books, totaling 66. The Catholic Bible keeps the same 27 New Testament books.
Dead ass. How many of you guys actually even knew, though, that all these versions of the Bible that were in different denominations of Christianity actually weren't even the same? They had different books inside of them. I knew some of them did. I knew the Ethiopian Orthodox had way more books. They've got like the Book of Enoch and all of that stuff in there. But I didn't know that Protestant and Catholic were reading a different Bible. Did you guys? Aquarius staff, what's up? Aquarius staff, what's up? First time chatter. I never even seen you up in here before, Aquarius. Hell yeah. I'm just going to go ahead and drop the Kick link for you. I don't know if you even watch Kick streams, but I'd started on Twitch where you just first time chatted at, and I'm moving over to Kick because Twitch is bullshit. You know what I mean? For a content creator, it's kind of bullshit if they're taking 75% of all the revenue and stuff, the money I earn on Twitch. So we're headed all over to Kick. I don't know if you even are on Kick, but if you use the link that I pinned to the top of the chat, it will actually get you into the other chat group where everybody's at, where the whole squad is over at. I've had to freaking have them move so many different platforms. It started off in Facebook, and then it was over in Twitch, and then it was, hey, go over to YouTube, and then YouTube was going, and then I realized that, like, holy cow, before I can even start earning anything on YouTube, I need viewers to watch 3,000 hours of content. So I start posting content, and so now I'm trying to get everybody over to Kick. I'm actually probably going to get I'm going to be able to get subscribers after this stream. I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you guys. Let's get back into this. What's up, Julia? I see you in the house. Julia's in Mexico. What's up?
But add 7 more to the Old Testament. Tobit, Judith, Wisdom, Sirach, Barak, and 1st and 2nd Maccabees. Plus extra material in Daniel and Esther, totaling 73. The Eastern Orthodox Bibles run somewhere between 76 and 81. And the Ethiopian Orthodox Bible goes all the way to 88. The 7 extra books in the Catholic Bible are called the Deuterocanon by Catholics. Protestants fold them into a bigger collection of about 14 books they call the Apocrypha. And the fight over whether they belong has been going on since the Reformation. Now we have to be fair. What is with all the changes? The removal of books? All the different denominations?
That's insane. There are an estimated 45,000 to 49,000 different Christian denominations globally. That's crazy, bro. It's crazy. 49,000 different Christian churches, bro.
Is this truly representative of a religion that has a single confirmed truth? Because the 1611 King James Bible, the version every King James only Protestant says is the perfect preserved Word of God in English, originally contained all 14 of those apocryphal books. They were printed between the Old and New Testaments in every King James Bible from 1611 until 1826. Is there something to hide in those 14 books? So let's go through the mainstream version of the Bible. The story goes that the Old Testament was put together over a period of more than 1,000 years, supposedly by various authors, Moses for the first 5 books, then prophets and scribes and historians and poets after that. And the final Hebrew canon got fixed somewhere between the 2nd century BC and the 2nd century AD, depending on which scholar you ask. The Greek translation, called the Septuagint, was made in Egypt starting around the 3rd century BC. And that is the version most early Christians actually read because most early Christians did not speak Hebrew. The New Testament was written between roughly the year 50 and the year 100 AD, in Greek, by men whose actual identities are still debated by every serious New Testament scholar today. The traditional names attached to the 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, are not signed by the authors. They were assigned to those texts by the early church in the 2nd century, decades after the texts were written. So we really don't know who wrote any of them. What we do know is that the early church handed each one a symbol. Matthew got the man, Mark got the lion, Luke got the ox, and John got the eagle. 4 Gospels, 4 creatures, 4 fixed points.
Holy shit. Holy shit. Holy shit. Who was here for the homunculus? I need to know. Remember how he was going through the homunculus artwork? And he was talking about all the imagery that shows the human being coming, the little human man being going to Mary. Do you remember how he kept depicting this exact bull in every single one of those pictures, bro? That's kind of insane. It was this bull right here. I remember seeing this bull, bro, in almost every single picture of the conception. That's weird that he just linked them right now to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Layers. And Taurus too, you're right. Shit, boy.
Okay, so the Bible. I'm not just gonna tell you the same story you've heard in Sunday school. The uniqueness of this video is I'm not treating the Bible like a Christian. I'm not treating it like an atheist. I'm not treating it like an agnostic. I'm not treating it like a Gnostic or even an occultist. I'm treating this like an investigation. That's what's different. The Bible pages to me are like the files. And we have the tools now that can actually analyze them beyond just reading symbolically. For example, the word seven in all its forms, seven, seventh, 70, sevenfold, appears over 700 times across the 1611 King James Bible.
741 times it says the word seven.
Not chapter numbers, not verse numbers, the actual word in the verses, in the text. Over 700 times across nearly 50 books. And there are 16 verses in the entire Bible that contain the word seven 3 or more times in a single verse. Revelation chapter 1, verse 20 has it
Sevens in the chat, please.
6 times in one sentence. 6 sevens, 7 stars, 7 candlesticks, 7 churches. The book of Revelation opens by telling you it runs on sevens. I know you've noticed. I'm sure you may have your symbolic interpretations, but logically, that would suggest orchestration, which is supporting evidence for what I'm about.
Yeah, yesterday was 7/7, and this video actually was dropped yesterday, 7/7 at 7 p.m. Yeah, weird, huh? We're not going to be able to get 7 out of our minds, bro.
To present to you. Take a look at this table and you tell me if this is divine coincidence. Now, originally, I was gonna go into all this alternative esoteric history before the Bible decode, because it's important that you have the eyes to see. But that takes time, and you're probably ready to get started. All I'd like to say before we begin is that we're going to be running into references involving the Freemasons and Rosicrucians. And my main point in bringing this up is, well, there will be apologists whose immediate thought is, oh, well, how can there be Freemasonic references in the Bible if the Freemasons were only founded in 1717? Same for the whole Christians are secret Freemasons stuff. And it's a fair question. But 1717 is not when Freemasonry started. It's when it went public. 4 lodges coming together in a London tavern. Their own records have the Masons of London going all the way back to the 1300s. They were already writing the word Freemasons by the 1500s. And their own constitution from 1723 traces the whole craft back to Adam. So...
Wait a second. Wait a second. You're telling me that in the Constitution of Freemasons, written in 1723, they follow their belief system of Freemasonry all the way back to Adam and Eve, bro? We got 2 eyes to look, 1 eye to see, bro. 1 eye to see.
But yeah, that 1717 date doesn't really hold. We will discuss it all in detail later. But for now, let's just make one pretty simple point. It's called a secret society, right? Let's imagine for one moment there is a secret. And whatever it is, the Freemasons know it. But only in the highest degrees. What do you think that secret is?
That's a perfect time to ask, what do you think that secret is? What do you think that freaking secret is, bro? Oh, I want to know so bad. What is the secret, dude? Is that we're aliens, bro? Is it that we're gods? Oh, you want to come show him your hair real quick? He said, I want to look like Slim Shady.
What's up?
You got to get in the...
Huh? Which one?
Come over here so you can see in this one.
Okay.
Now,
Here?
mew on them.
See ya.
He wanted to show you guys his new haircut. We bleached his hair. He actually dead ass said, oh, I want to look like Slim Shady. That's Cletus. He's 11.
So before we begin, I did want to say we're going to be using the King James Bible as our main starting point. It's not the only Bible I'm using. I have an entire synoptic Bible system for comparison. There are many reasons to choose the KJV as a starting point. Is it not the most famous and widely printed book in history? I think it's self-explanatory, but there will be Christians who argue it shouldn't be read. It really doesn't matter. You can choose whatever Bible you prefer. Regardless, we need to decode the cover of the original first published King James Bible. The 1611 King James Bible has an engraved title page. Not too many Christians have been shown this. What is this doing in the beginning of the Bible? Because if you have the eyes to see, well, the first and most obvious thing is the sun and moon at the top. Now, you may have your explanations on what that means, but the only point I want to make is when you see the sun and moon flanked like this, that is a Freemasonic symbol commonly used in early Masonic engravings and paintings. The engraving is divided into 3 vertical sections: top, middle, and bottom. So let's start at the top. The top section is heaven, the Hebrew letters of the Tetragrammaton, the divine name of Yahweh, radiating from the top. Below that is a dove. Below the dove is an old man bending forward in the center, and he's flanked by 7 figures on his left and 7 on the right. To the far left, outside that count, is an angel on one knee holding a small vessel with wings spread. The angel is separate. It's a part of the 4 watching. And to the far right, almost hidden in the corner, is a lion. Now look at the objects. You see the mirror, the speculum. The man to the left is holding keys. The man to the right is holding a sword. Mainstream scholarship identifies them as Peter and Paul. Behind the mirror holders, flanking the old man, are 2 more figures. The one on the left, the sun side, is holding a cross, but rotated in an X. The one on the right, the moon side, is holding a cup and pointing downward. And inside the mirror, the speculum, is the Lamb of God. At the top of the mirror frame, hidden in the forehead of a cherub, is a Templar cross. Now look at the border where their feet rest. The figures in the top section are standing on an architectural shelf, and running along the base of that shelf are these small circular medallions. Those are coat of arms, 12 of them, the 12 tribes of Israel, displayed as heraldic insignia. Now the middle section, Moses stands on the left, holding the tablets of the law and the staff. Aaron stands on the right in a priestly outfit, holding a censer. So these are the 2 pillars, Jachin and Boaz, the entrance to Solomon's temple, on the cover of the Bible. 5-petaled roses are engraved around the niches of both Moses and Aaron, the Rosicrucian rose. Now the bottom section, the ground. 2 figures on each side with their feet on the ground. To the left is a woman. She looks old. She has a hood over her head, so she's veiled. In one hand, she's writing with ink. In the other, she's holding a book with something on its cover. To me, it looks like a worm. Behind her is a bull, only one eye visible, and you can see the horns, a feminine symbol. To the right is a young man, holding a pin up. Left on
Lacey Lane. Lacey Lane, use the link just pinned to the top of the chat. We're all up over here on Kick. We're saying fuck Twitch. Twitch just takes all of my money. I work hard and I come out here and do it all. I do it all. do a lot. I'm streaming every day, 3 hours a day. We already been down for 2 hours today. So I'm just trying to move everybody up over to Kick, because Kick, as soon as I get to monetization, I've learned this information from Kevin is a Human, the co-founder of Buyer and Web, Ian Carroll and all that. He's telling me that Kick is like the best one that I guess takes care of their content creators the best. And so I moved over to Kick. We've been chilling over in Kick. That's where majority of Team Human is, over on Kick right now. So the link is pinned to the top of the chat. It should be pinned to the top of every chat, actually. It's pinned to Facebook. It's pinned to YouTube. We haven't actually even had anybody on YouTube for quite a while, bro. It's been pretty dead on YouTube because everybody's over on Kick. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's all I got to do, bro. Like, this is a job. I do put a lot of my energy into it. If you don't see how much I'm streaming, I'm also posting content like regularly all the time. I'm literally just posting content all the time, And Facebook decided they were going to stop allowing me to expand my be able to make enough money to survive. YouTube, I'm trying to get monetization so I can survive. Twitch just be bullshitting, and I'm just been encouraged to go over to Kick. So that's where we're at. But let's get back into this.
arm holding a book down. His right foot is kicked out, and by his left leg is a bird, an eagle, or, really, the phoenix, dripping blood from its mouth into a chalice. We just laid out the 4 evangelists and their symbols: Matthew the man, Mark the lion, Luke the ox, and John the eagle. The woman with the bull is Luke. The young man with the eagle is John. And in the center of the bottom section, on the ground, is another circular emblem. Now, many of you have seen this symbol before. What is this pelican doing on the front page of the Bible? Tearing open her own breast to feed the young with her blood? This is the pelican in her piety.
If you guys are here, what's your zodiac sign? I'm a Capricorn. Das me. Big Capricorn Aquarius, actually on the cusp, January 14th. So I'm like a mix, kind of. We got some Libras in here. Aquarius, let's go. Aquafire, what's up? Pisces up in the house. Let's see if we can get we got the whole spectrum. We got all 12. Big Capricorn, let's go. Sagittarius, let's go. We got a Taurus. What's up? Cancer, let's go. We almost got all of them up in here, bro. We got the whole zodiac up in this bish.
And it is the primary emblem of the Rose Croix, the 18th degree of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. The degree was originally called the Knight of the Eagle and Pelican.
Virgo, let's go. Another Capricorn, let's go.
Before it was renamed to the Knight of the Rose Croix in 1747. But apologists have a rebuttal. How can it be a Rosicrucian symbol in 1611 when the Fama Fraternitatis, the first Rosicrucian manifesto, was not published until 1614? The Rosicrucian emblem is on the cover of the King James Bible 3 years before Rosicrucianism officially existed. Well, you aren't being given the full story. That is when they chose to reveal themselves, not their creation date. But okay, I won't even rely on this cover point. Let's just say, sure, it's weird. I mean, it's a good point because there's only two options. Either the Masons were involved with editing the King James Bible, or they weren't. If they weren't, you have to explain what this cover is, and most Christians can't do that. If the Masons were involved, that's actually a huge deal. Because, well, they didn't come up with any of this. They inherited a tradition. Again, I won't rely on the cover. Let's just ignore it. That's one small point of hundreds that are about to follow. I'm going to show you, without a shadow of a doubt, there were clear secret society symbols in the original Bible. We haven't even begun to scratch the surface. This isn't about astrology. This isn't about comparing Jesus to other gods. While those subjects may come up, it's not really what we're discussing here. We're discussing orders. Secret orders.
Anybody else? Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I don't think Kick is silent. I think some people are having issues with kicking them out or auto muting.
Right now, I'm showing you clear signs, before we've even begun the text, that whoever published this is clearly in some type of secret society. And since it was in London, well, it becomes pretty obvious. Now, if you're new, there are only a few reactions to this. 1. It's all apophenia. That will fall apart soon after statistics alone. Numbers don't lie. 2. Mainstream Christians new to this, and even modern Freemasons who don't know their own history, will say this is ridiculous. Freemasonry didn't exist in 1611. But like we showed, an earlier form of it did. And again, they didn't come up with any of it. They were passing on a tradition. Okay, but the cover isn't the only thing before Genesis. There's something interesting in the original King James Bible before the scripture even starts. You hit a sequence of full-page genealogical charts, the bloodline traced straight from Adam all the way down to Christ. Now there are some secrets here, which explains why they don't really show this anymore. We'll have to come back to this in full later, because I have a lot to say. It kind of exposes a bunch of alternative.
Okay, so before we get into this, I have to go to the bathroom. Okay? Gotta go potty, dude. I've been down here for 2 hours and 30 minutes. I gotta go to the bathroom. All right? Alrighty? Alrighty? Can I just put something on for you? Just real quick while I run to the potty. While I run to the potty, run for the potty. What's here? Let's see. What's here? Let's see.
Like, what do you think? Or the famous line from J.P. Morgan, who was financing the Wardenclyffe Tower, and he asked Tesla, well, if it's free energy, where's the meter? How are we going to tax it? And he said, well, there is no meter, it's free energy. And that's why J.P. Morgan shut him down. He tried to say, look, well, we could put a meter on there somewhere. But Tesla wanted to just give this away to the people. He's one of the greatest inventors of all time, so underrated. And when we start to just backward engineer what Tesla was working on, so they are trying to reproduce a Wardenclyffe Tower in Texas right now. They're working on building it. And here we go. If we can just replicate what he had already developed, that could be a complete game changer in this quest for 0 point and free energy devices. And we all have one in our homes. We never have to pay a utility bill again. You know, this is our Star Trek future that's been hijacked and taken from us. We have that technology, as well as to go to the stars. Ben Rich, who was the Skunk Martin Skunk Works director in the 1980s on his deathbed, he said, we have this technology to take ET home, to travel the universe like Star Trek. But all these programs are so bottled up in the black programs, he said it would take an act of God to get them out.
Maybe we can address finally what Elizabeth April was talking about with this flat Earth hypothesis, and I think that's why she was initially remote viewing to kind of maybe put this to bed and say, yeah, wow, we are on a flat Earth, and that there's this giant ice wall. So that's what her initial intention was, I think, right? And when she tapped in down there, she didn't find any of that.
No, she didn't find any of that, but she did find the civilization under the ice, which she talked about. And she also said, look, I tried to find the ice wall, but it's actually just an ice shelf. And I saw that when I went down there. There are just massive, they look like they're ice walls, but a wall would connect to the ground underwater, which they don't. They're hollow underneath. And another one of the big discoveries this year was they put a submersible under the ice shelf, and they found hundreds of thousands of the Jonah ice fish, which are the keystone species in Antarctica. They're the food source for all the seals and the penguins. And they went deep underneath one of the ice shelves to find this is where they propagate and live in sub-freezing temperatures. And so Elizabeth April, just another data point, using remote viewers to take a look at what we're not allowed to see, and coming back and saying there's all kind of high-tech civilization down there and technology beyond your wildest dreams. So I think Antarctica will be that linchpin for a big, meaningful disclosure on Earth, because all the time we've been taught to think, oh, look to the stars. The aliens are going to come from a distant planet. But all the while, Clayton, they've been here the whole time, right below our feet.
Right below our oceans.
Is that too?
As multiple admirals have now confirmed to us. Brad, great to see you. Thank you so much for this. The book is called Secrets of Antarctica. I want people to dive more deeply into this. It's such a fascinating topic, and please keep us in the loop as you discover new items regularly from the great continent in the South. Thank you so much, Brad.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Clayton. Always a pleasure to speak with you.
Thanks, Brad. Thank you so much for watching Redacted. We'd love for you to subscribe to the channel. It's totally free if you want to follow us or subscribe. And if we brought you any value at all, please consider sharing this video with a friend or a loved one on social media. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.
Oh no! How long ago? Hey, I'm here. Who's here? Who's still here, dude? Who's still here, dude? Who's still here? Oh man, I had to use the potty, bro. That's why you gotta join the Discord. Monica's up in the Discord. We need to hear about this free energy, Monica. Let's keep going. We got an hour left of this documentary.
History. If you go and actually map these out, it explains so much. On the first chart, Adam and Eve are being associated with the sun and moon, the same symbols as the cover, flanking God that is quoted with Luke 3:38. Now, if I said it's not a coincidence that those threes are together like that, most would say that's a reach. But let's just note that, because we will see many more examples. It doesn't matter if it goes across chapters or verses, you will see numbers together in order to relay certain secret numeric.
Okay, so this is, you can't find the stream on Kick? It's Trip. So on Kick, the only difference from any other platform is it's just like Kevin is a human, except for it's Trip_over_drip. Yes, Trip_over_drip. Let me just pull it up. Verify. Get a little verification. Yeah. Trip_over_drip. Let's get right back up into this.
Symbols. And what do you know? The handshake is right under. Now on the chart, this is the symbol they use to show the marriage or merging of different bloodlines. Oh, and just so you know I'm not reaching, there's a message to the reader on the page before the charts start, page 40. It says something very specific about how to read these charts. It says, the lineage of Christ, quote, is known by a chain-like trail. And the marriages are, quote, linked together by a sculpture of a hand and band. Okay, but back to the chart though. Look near the tree. There's a banner over Eve with the word sin on it. But that banner is actually one verse. 1 Corinthians 15:56. They cut it in half and hung it across them. Adam carries the first half. The sting of death is sin. Eve carries the second half. The strength of sin is the law. Wait, hold up. So the power behind sin is not Eve, and it's not the serpent. It is the law, the system. There's a skeleton in the center of the chart with the quote, "O death, I will be thy death," from Hosea 13:14. And that's not even the King James wording. Their own Hosea says, "Thy plagues, thy destruction." So that's the Latin. Okay, but there's some interesting things to note. Cain's line is on the left. Seth's line is on the right. This is a bloodline chart. And like I said, it exposes a lot. So we'll come back. But a few more charts before we get started. Look at Noah's chart. Notice the full bloodline tree connected to the ark? And while that may be obvious, this image has certain connotations. Now there are many charts, but there are two more I want to show you, and then we'll get started with Genesis. The first is Remember Lot's Wife page, page 48. This one is interesting because the imagery is, and I want to be careful with this term, but it's Masonic. Now, I say that knowing you can trace the same type of imagery back to Mithras and ancient Rome, and yes, it shows up in the early Christian codices. But my argument is this is a sign to the original order. You can even see the Phrygian caps here in the center. Also, keep in mind the quote on this page here in the center is Romans 11 verse 33. Just a coincidence that the number is 33, right? But the writers didn't pull the full quote. They only pulled half. Oh, the depth of the riches, both of the wisdom and knowledge of God. How unsearchable are his judgments, and his ways past finding out. And that's not a random quote. Romans 11 is Paul's bloodline chapter, the one with the olive tree, where the Gentiles get grafted into the tree. The same move as Japheth coming to dwell in the tents of Shem back in Genesis 9. So grafting bloodlines. The editors pulled verse 33, which is a verse about hidden unsearchable knowledge, stamped on the one page that teaches you how to read the hidden lineage. So who was deciding which quotes to pull here? The mercy verse is sitting right above it, in the verses about having mercy upon all. And look at what's being depicted in the background. The destruction of European-looking cities. Whatever the case, the point is, who made all these decisions of these specific quote selections and imagery symbolism? Someone had to decide that, and whoever that was seems to have known something the general public does not. Now, for Christians who think this is unique to just the King James Bible, it isn't. But either way, it doesn't really matter. It is a big deal if an esoteric order stood behind the most widely printed Bible in history. Okay, but one last one.
Can you agree? Can you agree that it is a big deal? It's not a little deal. It's a big deal if the Bible was architected by a secret society. I think that it's a pretty big deal.
Page 50, Jacob's 12 sons. I just want to make one point. What is up with the coat of arms? Each son has a heraldic shield. Judah has a lion. Dan has a serpent. Zebulun has a ship. Simeon has a sword. Issachar has a donkey. The text at the bottom of the page says that Jacob blessed every tribe, as here thou seest expressed by arms. The translators use the word arms, coat of arms. Now they're saying that the text expressed it this way, but obviously I see that in a different light. Why would you need to create shields with animals and symbols on them for biblical ancient families? Doesn't really make that much sense. But it would make sense if this is literally a medieval feudal document, repackaged hundreds of years later for English audiences. I won't push on that just yet, but I wanted you to see it because now every animal symbol in the entire Old Testament changes. Speaking of, there are some terms we need to discuss that we really don't have a good word for. It's not necessarily biblical vocabulary. It's something different. It's something that you will notice in the Bible, where a word can have multi-layered meanings, and this symbol will repeat in mysterious ways throughout the Bible. And it's not until you realize that you can discover its true meaning. There really actually isn't a name for this. We don't have terminology for this type of phenomena that I know of. So, I call these carrier threads, or carrier terms, symbols that you will see throughout the Bible, little things like wine and bread that are referenced randomly, but actually have deeper meaning. Yet, they weave throughout the Bible, almost like a template term. Now look at this scene one more time. Jacob, on his deathbed, under a canopy, blessing his sons who are gathered around him with their shields. Does that tent seem more symbolic now? Because if this is a medieval feudal document, that tent is not a tent. It's a secret court. A court that can move. The Bible itself will describe this exact structure again later when God tells Moses to build a tabernacle. A portable sanctuary with an inner chamber where only the high priest can enter. It's the same concept. A court that moves. Well, let's get started. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Now, we all know these first 3 lines, but is that all? And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Here's what we know. There was a beginning, God creates heaven and earth, and that's verse 1. During this initial state, the earth had no form. It was void. But notice how there's a distinction between darkness and the face of the deep.
What's up, Duck? What's up, Duck?
Face of the deep. Then the Spirit of God moves on the face of the water. Already, we can start to notice specific writing patterns. Earth is not just described as no form and void, but as darkness. So void is the earth right now. But notice the similarity between deep and water. Face of the deep, base of the water. Are they the same thing? They must be. For what else can the deep be? Strange for a divine book to assume everyone understands the terminology. What is this spirit, and why is it moving into the face of the water? Well, many Christians may have their own interpretations here. The main Sunday school version is, God created everything, and in the beginning there was light. But what came first? Light or sound? As God said, He spoke. So does God have a language? If God spoke, then God has a language. So what is it? Well, the first place to look is the original Hebrew, as the English writers obviously were pulling from something older. But there are many layers here. The holy tongue, the divine language, untouched since the beginning, or so the story goes. The Hebrew read today was for the most part revived in the late 1800s by a man named Eliezer ben Yehuda, who rebuilt a living everyday tongue largely out of its sister languages. It had to be revived. However, let's separate the modern revival from the glyph.
Dang, I'm sorry, Monica. What's up, Roxy? Roxy, what's up, dude? Damn, we have nobody. Dude, we haven't even had anyone on YouTube for a while, bro, because everybody's up over on Kick, bro. Come over to Kick, Roxy. The link should be pinned to the top of the chat. I'm sorry that Kick keeps booting you out, Monica. Come over to Kick. It's way better than streaming it like this, up and down.
Themselves, as even the Christian tradition treats them as sacred. And I'm not saying the letters outrank Christ. I'm just saying you need to know what they were. Even the New Testament guards them. In Matthew 5:18, Jesus says, "One jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled." Or I'm just saying. And I'm not saying the letters outrank Christ. I'm just saying you need largely out of its sister languages. It had to be revived. However, let's separate the modern revival from the glyphs themselves, as even the Christian tradition treats them as sacred. And I'm not saying the letters outrank Christ. I'm just saying you need to know what they were. Even the New Testament guards them. In Matthew 5:18, Jesus says, "One jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled." The jot is the yod, the smallest Hebrew letter. The tittle, the smallest stroke on it. He is fulfilling the law written in those letters. The letters were the order before the new covenant. And it runs deep enough that God wears it as a name. I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last. In Greek, the first and last letter of the alphabet. In Hebrew, it is Aleph and Tav. And that Aleph Tav, the untranslated, is sitting in the first verse of Genesis. Then there's the longest chapter in the whole Bible, Psalm 119, runs 22 sections of 8 verses each section for every letter, Aleph through Tav. Why was it built that way? Well,
You're right. If Jesus showed up today, everybody would think he was an alien, bro.
to count. There are 22 letters, and 22 times 8 is 176. To explain the holiest poem ever written about God's word, they count the letters. So what is this eternal divine language? Well, if Hebrew is not it, it must have been modeled on something considered divine, as there's something interesting about it. It's mathematical. For one moment, let's strip all modern terminology of gematria and think like mathematicians. What is a language? In order to speak a language, you need an alphabet. And what is the first letter in Hebrew? Aleph. Most Christians today consider gematria evil, but there's a reason we're discussing this. You're about to see the secret math everywhere, even in the New Testament. There's something more here, and it has to do with the nature of creation itself. Is a shape evil? If I draw a 5-pointed star, are you going to tell me that shape is evil, all on its own? It's just geometry. What about a triangle? A circle? A spiral? It's all just math. Is a flower evil, the way it packs its seeds into a perfect spiral? None of it's evil. It's just the pattern underneath the thing. So what is a number? Start with a single point. So a position, the smallest thing there is. Move it, and now you have 2 points, and you can begin to count. This is a line. But now we really have one thing, and it's from those 2 points that we can even say it's a thing, a thought. And from that thought, you can split it into 2, the act of division. You have a square now, a flat plane. Lift the square, and you have a cube, the thought materialized. The Greeks built their whole world on this. The Pythagoreans taught that everything underneath is number. Plato went further. He said the physical world is made of shapes, that fire and air and water and earth are each a different solid. And that cube was his earth, all of them made out of triangles. So why is it called gematria? The Greek word geometria, geometry. The real question is, what does geometry have to do with counting letters? So is gematria in the Bible? Most Christians say no. You can see numbers in everything, right? Revelation 13:18. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. 666. So in order to do that, you need the understanding of how to count the number. So let's do it. Aleph is 1, right? Sure, but look at how the letter is actually drawn. An Aleph is built from 3 strokes, an upper yod, a lower yod, and a vav running on the diagonal between them. 2 yods and a vav. Yod is 10, yod is 10, vav is 6. 10 and 10 and 6. that equals 26. You know what else equals 26? Yod He Vav He. I guess it's just a coincidence that there are 26 letters in the English alphabet. England is named off the Angles tribe, and Bede records that Gregory the Great, seeing English boys at a Roman slave market, said, "Non Angli," said "Angeli," meaning they were angels. Perhaps John Dee wasn't so mad after all when he attempted to revive the Enochian language. Whatever the case, if letters are secret math, then what else is hidden within the pages of Genesis? And it's not just Hebrew. Catholics counted in letters by default, because Roman numerals are letters. That's one of many mysteries. Now, on the subject of the face of the water, haven't you always thought it was strange that God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters," and to divide the waters from the waters? What is the water? Why don't we get a story on what the waters are? Well, we do, but it's hidden. Biblical scholars have all sorts of explanations for this. It's about deciding what is heaven, what is sky, what's the atmosphere, and all the semantics in deciding which place holds the water the best. Or they'll even say there was once a water canopy, but then they say God divided the ocean. So what's the ocean? What most Christians miss is water is a code word, a carrier term.
What's up, Queen Trip's in the house? Queen Trip is over tripping in the Matrix. She's in the Matrix doing God's work. Just kidding, I don't know where that came from, but only 45 minutes. We have about 45 minutes left of the stream. I'll probably be streaming all the way until when you come home, because I'm not going to do that to these guys and just do a part 2 and quit it and do it tomorrow, you know what I'm saying? But we're going to run it all today. We got to finish the whole shit, so for people who click on it later, we can finish the whole shit. Can everyone who's here just drop poop emojis in the chat if you want to finish the whole thing? Queen Trip already poop emoji'd. Symbols are everywhere. Too many poop emojis, bro. Too many poop emojis. Hello from Alaska. From Alaska. What's up, Shelby from Alaska? My sister lives in Alaska. Her name is Karen Hess. I don't know where she lives, but somewhere in Alaska. Alaska's pretty big. Shelby, I'll just have you know, the link that's pinned to the top of the chat, that's Kick. It's like, let me show you real quick, bro. Okay, you notice the vertical up and down? That's what you're gonna get on Facebook only. Look how much better the horizontal version. You get the chat down the side, you get the video all nice and big. That's the reason why I'm telling everybody to go to these other platforms, the ones that are like better for live streaming. Facebook was not created to live stream on. You know what I'm saying? It only allows me to vertically do it up and down. The Kick link is pinned to the top of the Facebook chat. But come on over to Facebook. Come over to Kick. If you come over to Kick, just drop a red, green, and a yellow heart up in the chat. I love you. Appreciate all of you guys for coming and hanging out with me all the time. I tell you all the time, but I'm truly just grateful that you guys just come and chill and hang out with me, because I don't have friends on the outside. I got a few individuals outside of my immediate family that I consider family, and then it's my kids and my wives and my dogs and my plants. And so y'all coming to hang out with me, it's like, you guys like my friends, bro. Like I said, I don't really got friends, homie. I'm a dad, it's a gamer, and a husband, and a content creator. And y'all are the only friends I got. To be honest, I'm good with what I've got right now. for everybody that comes in, as the channel grows. I'm good with them coming in, you know what I'm saying? But like in my real world, I'm just kind of good, and I don't really need to make any real friends in real life anymore. You know what I mean? I'm just content with what I have going on. Let's get back into this.
You see, the idea is God and God alone created the world. And anything that was already sitting here before he started is a problem for that story. Okay, so we know that before the light, before a single word is spoken from God, the waters were already there. The deep is already there. God does not make the deep. The waters already had a face to move on. So, did God speak into an empty room? Was it empty? Void? Apparently the room is not empty. There's a deep. There is water. And watch, as we continue, the Bible keeps handing the water to the mother's role. You already know this. The waters bring forth. God says, "Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life." In Job, the sea breaks out as if it had issued out of a womb, wrapped in the thick darkness for a swaddling man. Peter says that the earth itself stands out of the water and in the water. Even the Hebrew word for the deep, tehom, is feminine. Now keep in mind, that is the same root as Tiamat, the Babylonian mother of the deep. The salt water split into two to make heaven and earth, and her story is relevant, but I'll refrain from depending on any cultural similarities to make the point. We don't need to do that. Because even Aquinas, Nick brings him up, right? Well, he discusses these matters deeply, and perhaps it's even the secret.
Wait a second. I remember this Tom Aquinas. Wasn't he inside of the Homunculus deep dive as well? I swear, I remember this picture, bro. These weird little white bald cannibals.
Well, he discusses these matters deeply, and perhaps it's even the secret behind his name. In Summa, question 66, Aquinas takes Genesis chapter 1, verse 2, "The earth was void and empty, invisible and shapeless," and he says it means the formlessness of matter, and that the earth and the water there designate, in his exact words, primary matter itself, end quote. Keep in mind, there's an entire alchemical tradition that attaches Aurora Consurgens to his name. Whether he wrote it or not is not the point. The point is, he says the water is the first matter God creates. The raw stuff before it's shaped into anything. He even notes the older fathers, Basil and Ambrose, held that formless came first. So to Aquinas, the deep is the first matter, and creation is God giving it form. Think about it. Matter, materia, comes from mater, mother. The first matter is the first mother.
Holy shit. The divine feminine, the first matter, bro. Shit, dude. Shit, dude. Shit, dude. Shit.
And the Quran opens the same way, by the way. The first surah, Al-Fatiha, is 7 verses, and it's 2 names for God, Al-Rahman and Al-Rahim.
That's actually so crazy that they just modded your comment, bro, for hate. That's literally what that says. She said women are powerful. That's all she said. And they modded her comment. That's kind of crazy. I agree.
Those trace back to Raham, the womb. So it's the 7 and the womb on page 1. It's not just Christianity. Okay, now let's finish creation.
Mind you, real quick. The reason maybe the mods are acting up today on Kick is because like I said, I just started to Kick 3 days ago. And I haven't even went through like the mod settings to change it to determine even maybe this is probably just like default mod settings. So I will make sure before tomorrow I get them fixed, because there should be no reason why you can't say women are powerful and it automatically modded you for hate. So don't think negatively about Kick yet. You know what I mean? I just haven't changed I haven't changed the settings yet. Because I'm sure there are some people that want like super restrictive settings, so they don't even have to like they put in keywords and you know all that stuff to make it so they don't have the ability for people to comment certain things. You know what I mean? You think that someone who creates content where all they do is talk about how much they hate Trump, you don't think that those people potentially have it modded so people who disagree with them can't say certain things that they don't want to talk about? Absolutely, bro. I'll fix the settings as soon as the stream is over.
But do note, this entire first section is a bit more complicated. So let me set this up because it's one of the most esoteric parts of the book. And you're just thrown in with no real context. I mean, it is quite the surreal experience.
Fact checking real fast. What is the Hebrew word for womb? Or like, what does the womb mean in Hebrew?
The Hebrew word for womb is rachim. It directly refers to the place where life begins and develops. The word shares a root with racham, which means compassion or mercy. This connection highlights the idea of the womb as a place of protection and nurturing, where a child is safeguarded.
So where am I getting womb in Hebrew is matrix?
It sounds like that might be a translation choice. The Hebrew word rachim directly refers to the womb, but some English translations, especially older or more formal ones, occasionally use the term matrix to describe the inner space where life develops. So while matrix isn't the literal Hebrew word, it's sometimes used as an English equivalent to convey that meaning.
Interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome. If you have any other questions about language or anything else, just let me know.
Just let me know. He was so nice right there.
While this may seem over-analytical to some, that's precisely the point. We're discussing the order of the Bible, and in that, there are certain leads. In chapter 1, God finishes creation by creating a firmament that divided the waters, which were under it from those which were above it, which is the reversed way of saying the waters above are as the waters below. Then he
As above, so below?
names this firmament heaven, so there's water above heaven. Now you may not realize it, but we have all four elements in the prima materia. First, God creates light in the deep, the day, the light, and once he separates the water, so division, air, he begins to create this world. The question is it only because of his speech? Or is it because of the medium he is speaking into? Then after the third day, we're told the reason for the lights in the firmament are for signs, for days and years, for counting. But do notice, there's some strange things going on with the lights. Verse 3, let there be light. Verse 4, this light is divided from darkness. But then in verse 5, he names these day and night. So is this the sun? No, apparently he creates the sun and moon after the lights in the firmament. Verse 14. So he makes these lights that are before the sun and moon and before the stars. And these lights are to give light to the earth. Okay, so hold up. We have the first set of lights, day and night, and these are not what we consider day and night as there's no earth, sun, or moon. Then we have the lights of the firmament. Then we have the two great lights, one to rule the day and the other to rule the night. Okay, so we're told that, verse 16. So then why does God repeat the rule phase over the day and night again? And to divide the light from the darkness? It's because chapter 1 is talking about two different light creation events. On the surface, it's talking about the creation of the universe, sun, moon, cosmos. But on a deeper level, it's actually setting up the cosmology for how this entire system works. It's doing so in a coded, multi-layered language that uses the same term for different things that are similar. The key is, when God places the sun and moon in the firmament, it then places the real meaning behind these lights: to rule over the day and over the night. And it's confusing on purpose. But there's a clue. Verse 18. Verse 18 explains the hidden meaning of verse 14. Verse 14 is referencing the planets. So let there be lights in the firmament, wandering lights. Jude in the New Testament calls them exactly that, wandering stars. So these are not the stars, because in verse 16, we find out that he makes the stars after the sun and moon. Okay, so what is verse 14 talking about? The clue is putting 16 and 18 together. The planets. So chapter 1 is about creating this order cosmology in which light, spiritual light, aka the classical planets, can manipulate a medium. The only way to study the Bible is to dissect it, or you'll miss little things. This is because the Bible is specifically coded to preserve hidden information. And it is done through coded terms, or the better way to describe it is carrier terms, which work sort of like proxy words, meaning there are mysteries beneath the text. So take that line we already read, let waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature. This time the question is, what gets brought forth? The verse randomly names great whales and the winged fowl. This is a great secret. The water is the mother, and the whale and the fowl are both symbols. Jonah's whale, which we can get to later, is obviously not literally a whale. Same for the dove. The order here is deliberate, because the fowl fly in the open firmament of heaven, and the Bible itself equates fowls with spirits. In the parable of the sower, the fowls eat the seed by the wayside, and Jesus says outright what they were: the wicked one that catcheth away the word. Revelation 18:2 runs the same parallel. Babylon, a cage of every unclean and hateful bird, the hold of every foul spirit. Then the blessing. God tells them to be fruitful, fill the waters, and let fowl multiply in the earth. Your local pastor is not going to explain why fowl multiply in the earth. These are astral forms. That's a deeper subject that we'll have to cover later. So now the man. Genesis 1:27. God creates man, and the Hebrew verb is bara, to create. Then, chapter 2, verse 7, the Lord God makes man again, but the verb changes to yetzar, to form, the word for a potter shaping clay at the wheel, and he forms him out of the dust of the ground. You don't form a thing out of nothing, you form it out of something. So creation out of nothing, ex nihilo, is a later church idea. It's neither Hebrew nor the Greek. And go back one verse. Male and female created he them. One body, male and female, before any rib. The rib is 2:21. The first human was both. Then in chapter 2, verse 4, the seam shows the name changes. Elohim becomes the Lord God, and the order of creation flips with it. Chapter 1 makes plants on day 3 and man on day 6. Chapter 2 makes the man first and the garden after. Is it on purpose? Well, it circles back to the wording in chapter 1, verse 26. Let us make man in our image, after our likeness. Who is he talking to? Not the Trinity. That gets settled at the councils, Nicaea in 325, and after, centuries later. So we can take the Trinity off the table. The reading the scholars land on is a divine council. God is just addressing his heavenly court, the host of heaven, the sons of God. Either way, we know he's not talking to himself. The only thing left to settle is what that host is. The apologists have a way of explaining this. The standard way out is a royal we, one king speaking of himself in the plural, the way a king issues a proclamation. It's not new either. John Etheridge, who put the Targum into English, gives the same answer in his introduction. The "let us make man" should be read, in his words, after the manner in which we read the plural in a proclamation of one of the kings of the earth. But that only explains one word, the pronoun. It does nothing for the name itself. Elohim is plural in its very form. The "im" on the end is the ordinary Hebrew plural ending, and it pulls plural verbs and adjectives along with it. Genesis 20, the Hebrew says, Elohim caused me to wander, and the verb is plural, they caused. Jeremiah 10 reads living gods. Joshua 24, holy gods. The English moves all of these back into a single God, but the Hebrew underneath is plural. A king saying we about himself never turns the verbs around his name plural. The plural is built into the word from the start. It even sits inside the Shema. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord, that our God is Eloheinu, Elohim with a possessive on it, our gods. And the word for one is akkad, the ordinary Hebrew word for one. The same word used when two becomes one flesh. And that split between the two accounts as a template. Plato's Timaeus, written around 360 BC, has the high God build the ordered world himself, then hand the making of the mortal part to the lesser gods under him. Because what is perfect cannot be the maker of what rots. The two accounts are not an accident. So who are the Elohim? And who is this Lord? Okay, but if we try to solve this only using chapter 1, because there is enough on this page to work with. If that us is a group, the only group the chapter puts above us is the lights. And we already pinned the...
That is an actual a good point. We just assumed as the Bible came out that all of these people that were talking was either Jesus or people associated with Jesus. But what if some of these people who were speaking were actually not good people or good energy? They were like demonic type energies. So it's like intermixed with like supposedly all of these people wrote the same stuff. I don't know. The rabbit hole goes deep. You're right, babe. We're actually going to go like this. I'm going to go like this. Come down here to the comment section. Okay. I'm going to add a comment and I'm going to @Tripoverdrip. Streamed this whole video today. It was mind unveiling. Comment that shit. Because I feel the same way, bro. Every single time I freaking watch a mind unveiled video, my mind feels vibrational, if that makes sense. Like that brain buzz I was talking about yesterday, bro, where like so many neurons and connections are being made in real time, bro. If I feel a vibration inside of my brain, I don't know how to explain it. It's called a brain buzz. That's what I call it.
The lights of verse 14 as the planets. They are the 7 days. And in the esoteric tradition, every hour of the day and the night is ruled by one of these 7 classical planets. The Elohim are the host of heaven. Aquinas takes this up directly. Summa question 68, the work of the second day. He lays out 3 heavens: the Empyrean, all light; the crystalline, all water; the third is the starry heaven, and he splits it into 8 spheres. One sphere holds the fixed stars. The other 7, in his own words, which may be called the 7 heavens, are the spheres of the planets. And remember, Timaeus, Plato says who those lesser gods are: the sun, the moon, the stars, and the planets. So, the offspring in "let us make man" are the heavenly bodies. The Bible admits it too. Deuteronomy 4:19. The sun and the moon and the stars, even all the host of heaven, which the Lord thy God hath divided into all nations. The host of heaven, handed out as the nations' gods. Deuteronomy 32:8. In the KJV, it reads, according to the number of the children of Israel. But the older Dead Sea Scrolls and the Septuagint read, the sons of God, the divine council. In the first verse after the 6 days, Genesis 2, verse 1, the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. The count holds to the end of the book. John sees 7 lamps of fire burning before the throne and names them himself, the 7 spirits of God. Those lamps are the menorah, and Josephus and Philo both read the menorah's 7 lamps as the 7 planets. Zechariah says the 7 lamps are the eyes of the Lord that ran to and fro through the whole earth. The planets washing the ground, the way Genesis set them over it. And the 7 kept their jobs outside Scripture too. Raphael in Tobit calls himself one of the 7 that stand before God. Trithemius and Agrippa gave each archangel a planet: Michael the sun, Gabriel the moon, and on down the line. And keep in mind, the Gnostics kept account and called the 7 the archons, which is just Greek for the rulers. The same job chapter 1 hands the lights on day 4. And chapter 1 reads like it already knows the older stories. Pretty much every creation myth opens with a war. Babylon has Marduk killing Tiamat, the mother of the deep, building the sky and the sea out of her split body. Genesis has no fight, no monster, no second god. It's a voice, dividing light from dark and water from water. All the violence is gone, and only the ordering is left. It's not just Babylon. India has the same shape. Indra killing the dragon Vitra to set the waters loose. The dragon fight is everywhere else. Genesis keeps the body, the deep, still lying right there in verse 2, but deletes the war. The Greek connection isn't new either. When Genesis 1, verse 2, calls the earth formless and empty, the Greek Old Testament renders it as oratos kai akataskiastos, Plato's own wording in the Timaeus for the word before order. Numenius, a Greek philosopher in the 2nd century, asked, what is Plato but Moses speaking out of Greek? Which means he's pointing at the same thing I am. He just ran the arrow the other way and figured Plato copied Moses. Which way the arrow actually runs is a dating question. In mainstream history, the Jewish colony at Elephantine in Egypt around 400 BC kept no Torah, no Sabbath, and worshipped a goddess beside their God. Nothing in their papers suggests that the Book of Moses even existed yet. Gomirkin argues the Torah was written around 270 BC in Alexandria, in the library that held Plato, by the same scholars the legend says only translated it.
Wait a second. The same library of Alexandria that was burned down? Interesting.
Now, I'm not going to rely on that date, but the oldest book might be younger than you think. The rabbis themselves answered why the book opens this way. Rashi asks why a book of law begins with creation instead of the first commandment. And his answer, which he credits to an older rabbi, is that it starts here, so when the nations call Israel thieves for taking the land of these 7 nations, Israel can answer that the earth belongs to God.
What the fuck? Can we... Is that applicable to shit that's happening right now, bro? Let me just run that back a little bit. You know what I'm saying? For some reason, that's just really hitting me, bro. Especially with the stuff that's happening with Israel right now, bro. Let's run that back.
Answer, which he credits to an older rabbi, is that it starts here, so when the nations call Israel thieves for taking the land of these 7 nations, Israel can answer that the earth belongs to God. He made it and gives it to whoever he wants. Creation is a deed of ownership. The book that opens by ordering the cosmos was written.
Rebuilding the 3rd temple, bro, so they can say that God gave us this planet. Crazy.
To order the world, which tells you what kind of document this is. Authored, deliberate, not a campfire story that just grew in the telling. And it's built on 7. Why 7? The text never says, and the numbers don't stop at 7. They keep coming, all throughout the book, and there were really only 2 options for them. Either this was orchestrated by a group of people, or it's a sign from God, a way to communicate with the divine. If creation is a deed in order, then what is Eden? Chapter 2, we find out that creation was done in 6 days, and God ended his work, and he rested on the 7th day, which is the Sabbath, Saturday, the 7 days of the week, each day dedicated to a planet. Don't you find it interesting that tradition is still kept alive? Why? Not only every day, but as I mentioned, every hour. This is the nature of keeping time. But the question's deep. Why 7 days? Sure, you can say 7 classical planets, but you will see the same frameworks manifesting across cultures that supposedly had nothing to do with each other. Regardless of why, it's clear the Hebrews and the early church knew the significance of the 7. But here's the strange part. The week is the one piece of time with no real reason behind it. A day is the earth turning, right? A month is the moon. A year is the sun. Every one of them is pointing to something in the sky. The 7-day week points to nothing. There's no 7 up there ticking, right? Or maybe there is. The only 7 is the 7 wandering lights, the classical planets, and the days are still named for them. Saturn's day, the sun's day, the moon's day, etc. But what's interesting is, why has no one made a better system? The French Revolution tried a 10-day week in 1793, and it collapsed. The Soviets ran a 5, then 6-day week from 1929, and by 1940, they crawled back to the 7. So, a count with no reason in nature became a law that no government could break. Why? So God blesses the 7th day, and on verse 7, the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground. Now chapter 2 is very bizarre. So the creator of the universe makes man. Let's assume, sure, Lord God is just a second title to the same being, but we'll be open-minded to the idea of some weirdness going on with the Lord term. But forgetting that, right after this man gets thrown into the garden, mind you, right after we find out that the plants are watered through a mist, so God doesn't need to make it rain. So then what are the rivers for? And what are they watering? Notice it says a river went out of Eden to water the garden. Okay, but wait, what garden are you talking about in verse 10? Is this the same Garden of Eden? Because notice how all of a sudden God starts listing all this geography and geology out of nowhere, the first of which is gold. We don't even have our main character yet, and the Bible is listing out countries that exist outside of Eden. How does that make any sense? And then what's going on with verse 15? Don't you see? There are two gardens. Read verse 8. The Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden. Meaning, Eden already existed. God did not create Eden, or it's never mentioned. God created a garden to the east of it. And notice what the rivers are. They are a mining operation from the minerals coming from the rivers out of Eden. Also note, it never says God created the river either, only that he created this garden. Once these minerals were extracted, these four rivers, right? We'll come back to that as there's a great secret here. But from this text alone, we know that these minerals in the river are the same that compasseth and goeth toward, aka meaning the countries extracting these goods. And it was good. Okay, so after this operation was done, then, in verse 15, the Lord God then takes man, and notice the framing here, puts him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. Those two words in the Hebrew are work and guard, abad and shemar, the very same pair used later for the priest serving and guarding the temple. So Adam is the gardener here. He is posted on duty. Is the garden a temple? Whoa, what is Lord God talking about here? I thought that man was already in the garden in verse 8. So what is this dressing the man? Dressing Eden? Meaning, they extracted all the goods from Eden. Now they need to reset what gives birth to the flow. The Lord commands the man right after this, specifically saying that he should not eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. But notice, right after this command, God says to himself that it is not good that the man should be alone. Now this brings many questions to mind, and we can spend hours on the garden alone. But a simple question is, if God is all-knowing and made this command specifically because he worried for Adam's safety, then the question is, did God know Eve would fail the command? And who created the snake? The Bible says the Lord did. Many questions. But notice what comes next. Verse 19. And out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air. So God teleported the creatures and or manifested them instantly in front of Adam, as the creatures were made before the garden. But notice, the Lord God is working with Adam here. The Lord forms the beast, and Adam names them. And then after this, the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and took one of his ribs. Keep in mind, we have 7 true ribs fixed to the sternum. Okay, but let's just get to the most famous story. And I'm sure many of you have heard it countless times. But let's see if there's any more to discover. God creates man, puts him in a garden, mentions 4 rivers in mineral extraction, then moves man again into Eden. Adam is commanded not to eat of the tree of knowledge, almost like a test. And right after this, Eve is created from Adam's ribs. Now there are many layers here, but specifically, I'm trying to focus in on how the Bible secretly glides over the mother creation aspects, and it wants to focus primarily on this male-created cosmos. So we get this rib story. Woman coming from man. But how does that make any sense? And we know this is the same area that Jesus was stabbed in with the Holy Lance. I didn't come up with that. The church fathers made it themselves. Eve taken from the side of sleeping Adam. The church born from the spirit side of Christ, asleep in death. So is this rib scene secretly another reference? In order to see it, you have to look at the order. God places Adam into the garden, gives him the command in verse 17. Then, in verse 18, God thinks it's not good that man should be alone. Why does God think that? Then immediately follow with making the beast appear. You may think it's because the animals gave Adam company. Okay, so did Adam have any experiences with the snake before Eve was extracted from the rib? If you say no, then who named the serpent? For we know God gave Adam that privilege. Therefore, God created the serpent and brought the serpent to Adam, and Adam named the serpent. That is the only logical conclusion if you follow the text. And therefore, we can then question if the rib story in falling asleep has something to do with the serpent. We can find more clues on this mystery by exploring medieval artworks. The Garden of Eden has a tradition of being associated with the temple, and you can see this clearly in the early medieval artworks, where Eden is depicted as a walled structure. But specifically, this is a temple court, where a marriage ceremony is taking place. But notice who's in the center. The serpent. Now, I'm not doing the same old Gnosticism story saying the serpent told the truth and God lied. I'm literally just reading the text and asking questions. Why is the serpent in medieval Christian manuscripts depicted as a female? Now keep in mind, the serpent wasn't on its belly at first, so it wasn't a snake as we normally think of it. We also know from the Bible that this animal spoke, so no other animals that we know of can speak. And the Hebrew plays a game right at the seam. The word for the serpent being subtle is arum, almost the very same word as the man and woman being naked, arom. It's very similar, so naked and crafty merged into the language. So what that means is that after God thought in verse 18 that Adam was lonely, the reason the animals followed in verse 19 is because God knew that there were beasts that could speak. Meaning, beasts are not just land animals. Now the Bible is calling the serpent a beast, but what is it really? We really don't have enough details from the text alone to fully answer that. We can theorize that the serpent must have eaten from the tree in order to know that it was safe to eat. But do note that chapter 3 makes it clear. The Eden Temple is about having your eyes opened, that there is a tree that if you eat, you will become like gods, knowing good and evil. So who's telling the truth here? Did God lie to protect Adam and Eve? And how does the serpent know all of this? Well, as Eve is about to eat, we find out that this tree is a tree to be desired to make one wise, meaning this is the tree of wisdom, the tree of Eden, the tree of the mother. And Eve took from it, and they both ate. The fact that immediately after they became aware of their nakedness.
Just want to make a quick tangent. The word fruit can be taken in many different contexts. What if this is an acacia tree and the fruit of knowledge is actually dimethyltryptamine? It's DMT. It's the, you will know good and evil.
Almost implies there's something about this act related to the sexual act itself. And the word's sitting right there in the language. The Hebrew is yada, to know. And yes, it is the word the Bible uses for sex. Cain knew his wife, and she conceived. But sex is only the first layer, because yada is a carrier word. It's the same root that gives da'at, knowledge, the exact word sitting inside of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So, one verb is doing 3 jobs. To know a person in the body, to know a thing by direct experience, and to be initiated into a knowledge you did not have before. The Bible never splits them apart. It just packs all 3 into one word. This is exactly what a carrier term does. It is the tree of knowing, and the first thing they know is that they're naked. Now you may think the very act of eating from the tree was the sexual act, but as noted before, we discussed the hidden symbolism of the rib. Jesus' wound was depicted in a very specific way, if you want to look into that. The point being, this is a forced inverted creation event. Eve was born of a man's womb, and so, after they eat of this tree and become wise, what's the first thing they do? They get dressed and cover up. So did Adam and Eve have sex? Or did they realize what the act of sex and being naked actually was? It's a little mysterious here, right? Well, the answer lies in the punishment. It couldn't have been normal sex with Adam, because now Eve gets punished for this and is forced to bear children and to be ruled by man, or Adam. Okay, but think about that. The entire story of the Bible is really Eve's story. She's the mother of mankind. Yet it is told in an inverted patriarchal format. And while there is corruption there, there's also a mystery. For if the serpent wasn't lying, then what was he talking about? We'll come back to the serpent in one moment. So God finds this all out. Again, why does an all-knowing God have to say, "Where art thou?" If your answer is it's a test, well then that backs up some other aspects of this story. Why is God testing man in this way? If so, was he testing Eve? That puts a twist on this whole "thou art cursed above all cattle." Why? Because what if the serpent was never really a snake at all? Let's go back to the word itself. The Hebrew word for serpent in this chapter is nakash. And this word is strange because its root also means to divine, to enchant. The same word family the Bible later uses for enchantments and sorcery. And it's similar to nekoshet, the Hebrew for brass, for the shining metal. Then there are scholars like Bullinger who read nakash as the shining one. So beneath the surface level English word serpent is a shining, divining being. Don't forget about the brass connection either, because a few chapters from now, a descendant of Cain is called the instructor of every artificer in brass. That's not an accident. Interestingly, that shining serpent does come back later. Moses lifts one of brass up on a pole, and Jesus says, "As Moses lifted up the serpent, so must the Son of Man be lifted up." The serpent and the cross in the same sentence. Now remember what we already established from the text alone. This being spoke. It was not on its belly, because "upon thy belly shalt thou go" is the curse, meaning before the curse it went some other way. It is called a beast of the field, but it reasons, it argues, it knows what the tree does. And then here's the whole Gnostic story. Again, I'm not promoting this, and I have a much different story to tell. But there are some points we should bring up from that whole thing. The serpent tells Eve, "Ye shall not surely die. For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil." Okay, so who was right? Read chapter 3, verse 22. "And the Lord God said, Behold, the man is become as one of us, to know good and evil." That is God himself confirming the serpent's exact words. And they did not die that day. Adam lives 930 years. So, technically, the Shining One told the truth, and the Lord confirms it out of his own mouth. And notice the language. Their eyes were opened. That is secret initiation language. The eyes being opened, being brought to light. Something happened in that garden temple that the text is describing as an initiation. Now, whether you want to see that as God lying, testing, or perhaps some bigger plan, sure. I'm just making a simple point and asking the question. Did the serpent lie? Who lied here? So now, ask the real question. If the tree is the tree of knowledge, and to know is the sexual verb in the Bible, Cain knew his wife and she conceived, then what was the knowing at the tree? What actually happened between Eve and this shining, speaking being? Well, the Bible answers in chapter 4, verse 1. And the answer is hiding in one word. Eve conceives and bears Cain and says, I have gotten a man from the Lord. Now, yes, it does say, and Adam knew Eve, his wife. And again, you may think knew in this case is sex. But is it? Again, the term is a carrier term with multiple layers. The Hebrew verb there is kana, and kana means to acquire, to buy, to possess. That is why the old readings say the meaning of Cain is possession. And the Hebrew underneath the phrase reads like, I acquired a man with Yahweh, with a power. Think about how bizarre that is. The first human child ever born, and the mother announces him as an acquisition gotten with a divine being. But here's what proves it. Abel gets no announcement at all. She again bears his brother Abel. That's it. And Abel in Hebrew is Hevel, which means breath, vapor. One son enters the story as a possession obtained with a power. The other enters as a breath. Now, I'm not making up the conclusion here. This is an ancient reading inside of the Hebrew tradition itself. The rabbis in Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer say this outright, that Samael, one of the great angels, came to Eve upon the serpent, and that she conceived Cain from him. Meaning, by that tradition, Cain is not Adam's seed at all. He is the child of the serpent power. Now, I'm not asking you just to accept the rabbi's version. I'm just saying notice that the text points the same direction they do. So who is the woman in the medieval paintings drawn as a snake? The old Hebrew tradition has a name for a woman before Eve, and most of you know it. Lilith. The alphabet of Ben Sira tells the legend that Lilith was Adam's first wife, made from the same earth as Adam, not from his rib. And because they came from the same ground, she would not lie beneath him. That was the whole fight. The position, who is above and who is below. And in the legend, she takes the top. She won't be ruled. If anything, Adam is under her command. That is why she comes back in the later tradition as this night being who mounts on top of the sleeping man in the dark. And when Adam tries to force her down, she does the one thing that ends the argument. She speaks the name. Not a name, the name. The ineffable name of God. The secret word the whole rest of the book is built on hiding. And the moment she says it out loud, she rises into the air and leaves the garden. Okay, but remember that. A woman somehow was holding the one name that is supposed to be withheld, because that's going to matter later. Then after this, she becomes the night being, the mother of demons. Now this is legend, not Genesis. I'll be clear about that. But notice what Genesis actually gives us. Chapter 1, verse 27. Male and female created he them, together from the start. Then chapter 2, the woman built from the rib, two makings of a woman. The old Midrash even reads the first account as a male and female Adam in one body that got divided. Though it doesn't name her as Lilith, her name does appear in the Bible. Once. Isaiah 34, the desolation of Edom. The wilderness given over to the wild things. In verse 14 in the Hebrew, names the Lilith among them. Open the King James, and you'll find her translated as the screech owl. So the one place her name survives in Scripture, it was turned into a bird. If that's not suppression, I don't know what is. Again, we aren't going to depend on the Kabbalist or the Zohar tradition, but we can't just ignore it either. It's a lead. And most modern Christians don't have much to say on the mysteries of the garden. So, the Serpent of Eden has two layers. Now we're getting deep quick, and in order to fully explain this, we have to keep building. But for now, let's say this. Samael and Lilith are obviously not human. Yet, they can mate with humans. Where have we heard that before? Now the question is, what are they? I'm just going to plant the seed for now, because this is not the first time we will encounter these types of spiritual beings that can mate with humans. Lilith, her name can be traced back to air, Lilitu, a Mesopotamian wind storm spirit, and Samael is fire. Sam is poison, and he is the burning serpent. Seraph means burning one, so seraphim are fiery serpents. But there's another thing to consider. After Abel is gone, which we'll discuss soon, chapter 4, verse 25, Eve bears a third son and says, God hath appointed me another seed instead of Abel. The Hebrew verb is shot, appointed, set in place, and that is where Seth gets his name. Another seed, provided this time by the Lord. And then
Apple Juice, what's up, dude? Apple Juice, what's up, dude? Dude, we're all up over here on Kick, bro. We're transferring over to Kick, player. Let me try and get this link for you, dude. Right there. Pinned to the top. Where everyone's over on Kick. I don't know if you want to even come up over on Kick, but that's where we're at, Apple Juice. I love you, bro. I'm so happy you're here, bro. I haven't seen you around for a while, bro. Oh, your Twitch streak. Okay. I see. I love you, bro. We're deep into this, bro. We got only about 9 more minutes. We've been in here for, I've been live for almost 4 hours today. Dang, you know what I'm saying? That's why I want people on Kick, bro. I put 4 hours in a live stream today, bro. You know what I mean? That's why I hear Kick is going to treat me the best as a content creator, because that's what I would classify this as, is not necessarily work, but you know what? Dude, does that make sense? Platforms pay for streamers to stream. And if I want to get the best out of what I got, I've finally come to the realization from many realizations that Kick is probably going to treat me the best. So let's keep going, though. We got 9 more minutes. I love you, Apple Juice.
notice chapter 5, verse 3. Adam begat a son in his own likeness, after his image, and that is said of Seth, and only Seth. So the Bible itself is quietly telling you there are 2 seeds in play. And God already announced it in the curse. I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. Thy seed? Is he talking about the serpent's seed? 2 seeds, 2 lines, 2 houses, one of the shining serpent, and one appointed from above. And everything from here to Revelation is the war between them. Okay, so let's step back and actually think about what this Eden chapter is all about.
Wait a second. So let me just back this up for a second and just kind of break down what he just said. Okay? Do you got? And you guys tell me if I'm I'm on point or if I'm like off base. Okay, so Lilith, the serpent, and Eve. The serpent created Cain. Cain then killed Abel. The divine created Seth. So Cain was created by a serpent or a demon or whatever the label is. And Seth was created by an angel or whatever. So the whole entire Bible is the lineage of the demons and the lineage of the divine fighting amongst each other. That's like kind of basically what my understanding. Interesting.
Everything from here to Revelation is the war between them. Okay, so let's step back and actually think about what this Eden chapter is all about. It's basically a temple garden with a guarded post, a tree of knowing at the center, a shining spirit waiting at that tree, eyes opened, and apparently some type of mating with spirits. And God confirming afterward that the man had become like one of us. But wait, if this entire thing is an initiation, then the original sin and the curse are the cover story. That's the next logical conclusion. And look who pays for it. The woman. Thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. The first woman is written out entirely and survives as a screech owl. The second is blamed, cursed, and put under rule of a man. And the mother side of creation gets buried under a story where woman comes out of a man's body. That is the suppression of the feminine, and it's not a side detail. It is one of the main operating secrets of this whole book, and we're going to see it over and over again. I'm sure many of you are already thinking of how this connects down the line. Okay, but before we finish up here, let's sit with the last 4 verses of chapter 3. Because they're doing more than they look like. We've established that Lord God did in fact lie. And the apologists have a fair answer here. They'll say God never meant that they dropped dead that very day, only that death entered and that they became mortal. Dying, so you die. Whether that was for a good reason or deception, you can argue. But that's not the point. The point is, God himself confirms the serpent told the truth. Behold, the man is become to know good and evil. On the first pass, it reads like God was protecting them, right? Keeping man innocent, nescient, so that he could stay in paradise. And that is the standard Christian explanation. But that does not touch the strange part. Become as one of us? That phrase breaks the whole innocent paradise reading. Because now you have to ask 2 things. Who is the us? And how did the serpent know what the us knew? Because that shows you something. The serpent had information that belonged to those beings. It knew what the tree would do before Adam and Eve did. So whatever the serpent is, it is on the inside of that group. It shares their knowledge, which is exactly what the old tradition means when it names the father of Cain as Samael, one of the great angels. These are the ones who already know good and evil. Man just became like them. And that cracks open the second tree. If the garden is a temple, and the first tree is an initiation that ends in a union and apparently Cain, then what is this other tree? The tree of life. The text says it plainly. Lest he put forth his hand and take also of the tree of life, and eat, and live forever. So, the 2 trees are the 2 things that make those beings what they are. Knowledge and immortality. Man reached out and took the first, and he was barred from the second. So how do you keep the man from the tree? Verse 24, he drives the man out and places at the east of the garden cherubims, and a flaming sword which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life. And notice the word keep. It is shamar, the same word from Adam's own job, to dress it and to keep it, to guard. The tree of life is not destroyed. It is guarded, preserved, held behind a gate of turning fire and living guardians, waiting. So it's not just a garden story, because those cherubim do not stay in Eden. You meet them again when God gives Moses the plan for the tabernacle. The first thing set over the ark, over the mercy seat, in the holiest room, is 2 cherubim facing each other. And God says, "There I will meet thee from between the 2 cherubim." The same guardians from the tree of life are now standing over the box at the center of the temple. And the light in that room, the menorah, is not described as a lamp. It is described as a tree, a shaft and branches and almond blossoms and knobs and flowers, a tree of light with 7 lamps. So that is the way. The tree of life is not a road on a map. It is a guarded path back in, walked by the one prepared to walk it, past the fire, past the guardians, into the presence. Eden wasn't closed, it was locked, and the key was handed to a priesthood. Turn to the very last page of the Bible, Revelation 22. In the midst of the strait of it, and on either side of the river, was there the tree of life, and the leaf of the trees were for the healing of the nations. So it's the same tree, the one locked in the 3rd chapter, is standing wide open in the last. The whole book runs from a locked garden to an open one. Now, there may be many Christians who'll say, okay, well, that's the Old Testament. So what? And I understand why you would think that, but watch, because that door doesn't actually close. The New Testament never lets go of this garden. Paul calls Jesus the last Adam, the second one, sent to undo what the first one did. The cross is a tree. And as I just mentioned, the last page of the whole Bible, Revelation, ends by reopening this exact garden and its tree of life. The book doesn't leave Eden behind. It circles all the way back to it. So this isn't some story you just get to set down. Everything we just put a question mark on, the sin, the woman, the serpent, that is the foundation the rest of it is standing on. Now, I'm not going to push it. We'll just keep the door open, and we can walk through it together. So I think this is a good place to stop with part 1. This was difficult for me because I genuinely wanted everything to be in a single video. But there's an advantage to doing this in multiple parts. Look, I don't know everything about the Bible. I make mistakes, and I'm still learning. I can be honest about that. Let's make this a collaborative effort. Together we can flow and solve this mystery together. That's part 1 of the Bible Unveiled. Thank you for watching, and all we can hope is that our minds may be unveiled.
What the fuck, bro? Oh, man. Bro. Bro. Okay, so basically Adam was initiated into the secret society that controlled the garden. And the whole entire lineage and history since then has been whoever originally controlled the garden, keeping the secrets that are inside of the garden away from everybody else. What the fuck, bro? And that fucking, as soon as after Adam got initiated into the garden, one of the people that was already initiated into the garden, named Samuel, had intercourse with Eve who then created Cain, which was a possessed demon. What the fuck? Bro, I'm to be 100% honest, bro. I'm so happy he's breaking this up into parts, dude, for real. That's a lot to digest, bro. And I hope, I don't know about you, but if you sat here and watched this whole thing with me today, bro, he was right at the very beginning. The warning he gave, it's never going to ever be the same after this. I'm never going to be able to even look at the Bible or even any of that story the same ever again. And there is so much information that's processing inside my brain. I could just barely generalize and regurgitate everything we just consumed. I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. That's it. We're almost at 4 hours today. Holy cow. I'm about to go right now out and put my fucking, the bottom of my feet, which are called my soul, to the earth, bro, and go get grounding. But before we leave, if you want to support the channel, tripoverdrip.shop. You know what I'm saying? Giggles, I'll take care of you. I got you. I know I don't have any funds to do anything until tomorrow. It's been a struggle out here. It's been hard out here. That's why we're trying to strive to get people to go to Kick, to where Kick, the platform that will take care of me for streaming all the fucking time. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, bro, if I be honest, this has never happened. You should come say hi, Queen Trip. Queen Trip's in the house. Should Queen Trip come say hi for a second? Yes, she should. But yeah, tripoverdrip.shop, bro. Check this out, bro. If you go to my Facebook, it doesn't even show that my live stream is there, bro. Why is that, dude? Why is that? Why won't Facebook even show that my live stream is available, bro? It's weird. There she is.
Hi.
She just got home. It's been a long one today, babe. It's too much. My brain is fried. I'm gonna be fucking consumed about this the rest of the evening, trying to like. Right. Yeah, I actually commented on Mind Unveil's video. I'm gonna go comment because that was on my personal YouTube. Now I'm gonna go to Tripoverdrip's YouTube and be like, I can't wait to stream part 2. I just streamed. I reached out to you, Mind Unveiled. If you see this and watch this, I reached out to you on Instagram, Tripoverdrip, bro. I'd love to collab. Let me know. Give me some inside scoop when you're gonna drop the next one, and I'll be live. Watch it as it premieres, bro. Anyways, if you wanna help the channel, tripoverdrip.shop. And with that, we'll see you tomorrow evening. Peace out. We love you. If nobody's told you today, I'm proud of you. Keep going. You can do